Very good morning to everyone. I'm Linh, Academic Sales Manager of iGroup Vietnam, and I'm very pleased to be the host for today's sessions. It gives me an immense pleasure to extend to all distinguished guests and speakers a very welcome on behalf of the organization board for the online workshop on how to publish research articles using online learning in Sage Campus. As today's agenda, we will have three amazing presentations by Ms. Rosalia de Garcia, Managing Director, Sage Publishing, Dr. Lim Ki Hyung, Customer Relationship Manager, Sage Publishing, and Dr. Hiệp Phạm from Research Director from Atlas Asia. Then we will have Q&A and quiz sessions by end of the morning. But first of all, I would like to welcome representative of Vietnam National University Ho Chi Minh City, is Prof. Lâm Quang Vinh, Director of Department of Science and Technology, who will make opening speech. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Please, could you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Thank you so much. Dear Dr. Rosalia de Garcia, Management Director, Sales Publishing. Dear Dr. Lin Ki Wang, Customer Relationship Manager, Sales Publishing. Dear Dr. Hiệp Phạm, Research Director, Atlas Asia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First, approach on behalf of all scientists, lecturers, staff, and students of Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City, I'm pleased to warmly welcome to all of you to participate in the workshop with the topic how to publish research articles and introduction to Sage Campus. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City is a center for high quality training, scientific research, technology in multidisciplines. Vietnam National University of Ho Chi Minh City was assigned by the government to be the leading university in Vietnam in the fields of pioneering, innovation, creativeness, and quality improvement of higher education, contributing to promote fundamental and comprehensive reform of education and training to meet the demand for higher quality human resources for the country. University and affiliate units of Vietnam National University, such as University of Technology, University of Science, University of Social Science and Humanity, University of Economic and Law, University of Information Technology, and University of An Giang. And of course, we also have a School of Medicine. The target of our university is a number of articles published in the website and Scopus journalists in relation to full-time academic staff to be increased from 5,000 articles in the period 2015 and 2020 to 15,000 articles in the period 2021 and 2025. So the topic of the workshop today, I thought that is very important for our university. As you know, the publishing in quality academic journal is a challenge. So who want to improve their chance of the publishing in management and allied business and social science journal can save themselves much time and by ensuring that manuscripts are considered with the journal and scope and what the field require in the turn of addressing research question and improvement to current therefore and evident. It is well understood its manuscripts, let theory broaden or make significant methodology or research design mistake. If we would like to be researching in the social science and terribly well trained in method statistical analysis and research design. So at Vietnam National University, we are strategic partnership and the best way to improve the effectiveness and impact of our activity. As you know, now we are number one of QS World University ranking in Vietnam, top 750, with the vision to become one of the top university system in Asia and the hub of science, technology, cultural, and knowledge of Vietnam. I'm looking forward to our collaboration with the SARS publishing. I wish you all very fruitful discussion today. Therefore, this workshop is a great opportunity for delegates to share and learn about how to publish research articles. I wish this workshop would be a great success and fruitful outcome. As you know, the Lunar New Year in Vietnam is coming. I wish you all the best of health, success, and happiness. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lam. So now we will enjoy the first and the most important session of the day, how to publish research articles by Ms. Rosalia de Garcia, Managing Director of Sage Publishing, who is responsible for the Asia-Pacific operations. Rosalia is also a member of the company's Global Vice President Group. She's an active enabler of the use of technology to create work efficiencies, as well as driving diversity and inclusion, social responsibility, and sustainability initiatives at the workplace. Rosalia has extensive publishing expertise in sales and marketing at Wiley and Elsevier as well. Welcome, Ms. Rosalia.
Kai, can you help to unmute Rosalia?
Okay, done. So good morning, everybody. Thanks, Lynn, and thanks, Professor Lam, and all of the delegates for making the time.
Rosalia, Rosalia, you are in the reading mode. Can you change to a presentation mode? Yeah, thanks.
It is in the presentation mode.
But we can see your next slide.
Yeah, no, but this is how it appears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I was saying, welcome to the delegates for making the time. With what Professor Lam was talking about is actually quite dear to my heart. So it is about ensuring that countries like Vietnam has an equal say in publishing articles in the global scene. I think one of the things that we struggle usually is the quality of the journal articles that is coming out. And I hope that this session will be useful for you. I have to rush through the session because I do this session normally 1.5 hours, allowing about, a few, half an hour for questions. But if I am rushing and you have any questions, please feel free to email me or let me know. Yeah. So I thought it would be good for me to start talking about open access, which is like the very first thing that people are talking about. So it is important that you are aware that there is the traditional journals, that is a gold open access journal, that is a hybrid journal, which takes both the traditional articles and gold open access journals. And there is also the green open access policy, which a country like Australia has embraced itself. So this initiative was basically, as you can see in the next slide, somehow is moving. It was started very much in 2018, Plan S. We have 13 European Union research funders that has actually come on board, saying that any research funds granted by this research organization will have to be open access. So the Wellcome Trust in the UK also joined, and Gates Foundation also joined. But what's interesting is that Germany's main funding body, as well as a lot of the Asia Pacific research funders, are not fully on board. So you may have a couple of universities in Japan, Korea, China, the Chinese University of Academy. You have some Australian, but they are still not full members of Plan S. And what does that mean? That means that they are just there as to learn how European Union organizations are doing and whether we should implement it, because not always what the West tells us is good for us itself. Yeah. And I will talk a little bit about DORA at the end itself. So this is what Plan S is all about. So as long as you publish in any hybrid journal, you have to make it available for everybody to see. So AAM is the author accepted manuscript or a version of the record in a repository. So you can put it into your university repository, or you can actually make it become available for others to see. So that is what actually the Plan S means. But also, professors have the liberty whether they want to take the funding and then publish in an open access journal. So open access journal is very much in the area of STM, where we see a lot more articles being published. In the humanities and social science, it's slightly more slower, and it's quite hard. So the date now for the Plan S, which was supposed to be 2021, because of COVID, has now been delayed much more later, because they're not quite sure how to push for this. But each country, ironically, has come up with their own policy. So I'm now one of the founding members with the mainland Chinese government to actually see what is the open access policy that mainland China should actually embrace. So that is an exciting opportunity for us at SAGE. So DORA, which stands for Declaration of Research Assessment, was started very much in San Francisco many years ago. And this will resonate very well with all of you, because it is really about how do you move away from impact factors to making sure that you evaluate research on the merits of its own. So you may have published a very fantastic research, but it may not be an impact factor. But how do you reward or promote a professor based on their research rather than on a journal article? And the reason why they are very sort of insistent on this, because we all know that even in the highest impact factor journals, there are articles that may not be necessarily the best of the research, and the journal may accept, like the Cell, the American Journal of Gastroenterology from Elsevier, or even some of the other journals, is because they want to show a diverse range of articles or research from different countries itself. So sometimes they lower the standards. So what DORA is arguing is that why should this person, just because the impact factor of the journal is high, that this individual should get a promotion rather than someone who is actually done a fantastic research, very impactful, very necessary and very relevant to the country, is bypassed because he or she didn't publish in a high impact factor journal itself. right? So this actually encompasses what I'm basically have a sort of outline to you. But one of the major things that has happened, and it is becoming quite an issue across the world, is misconduct. And misconduct goes along all of this. So this data is somewhat quite outdated, but these are the latest that we have. But if we were to look at what is going to be like in 2021, I can bet you that the number is high. So what is the highest, continue to be the highest, is fraud, suspected fraud, and plagiarism. These are the two that comes up to be the most. And in terms of fraud, what are we seeing is people who have actually not done any research, actually fabricated the research paper and write according to what they feel the outcome should be. That means it is basically not a research that has been done. I just write almost like a thesis and then on my own, and then I submit it and say this is a research paper. And then I get my friends to be peer reviewers or join me, or I myself using a different email account decides that I should be the peer review of my own articles using a different email address. So here are some of the countries. So the numbers have changed. China has gone up significantly in terms of fraud and suspected fraud and plagiarism. So China is now after the USA. Japan has fallen down, and then India has overtaken UK. So you can actually see that their numbers are increasing. But at the same time, publishers are becoming smarter. So before I talk around this slide, is there is now software to immediately identify, for example, duplicate research itself, is immediately to identify that actually the email address is within a certain radius of the author of the research itself. So all of these things have weed out quite a fair bit, but yet there are still a lot of people who are much more smarter in giving us art research that may not necessarily be a true research in the form. So the other thing that we are doing now is almost all journals are saying, please do not come and tell me that your resource, your source of your data, that or your tables or whatever you are using to arrive at the conclusion of your research itself is secret and you can't share it. And so if that's the case, almost all journals and all publishers were rejected because data secrecy was one of the major reasons people found that, well, we respect that there's data secrecy, and then only to find that actually it's fraudulent, right? So one has to be quite careful about making sure that you comply with the aims and scope of the journal or the publisher itself. So there are a lot of all of these things itself that is about what is required. So the other one is, the last one is lying about authorships. So we are also aware that sometimes, well, you know, I want a very famous professor, I just put his or her name. Actually, I do all of the work. We do checks. They do checks and we find out that actually that person name is just sitting there and actually has not contributed for or towards the research. That article will be rejected by the journal itself, whether it's open access or otherwise. The other thing is under the Committee on Publication Ethics. So research ethics is a huge thing these days. And so under these, every editor-in-chief, so EIC's editor-in-chiefs, and most publishers nowadays share data, share information about people who are doing fraudulent transaction. So I'm sure you have read in the Times Higher Education and other scientific articles out there, people are now doing what we call public shaming, right? So the person's name has been published and the whole world can know now that this person has actually done something fraudulent, even though he or she may deny having to do it. But why create such a negative image of yourself by doing things like that? So our encouragement to you is that it may be not easy to publish in a well-reputable journal, but go by the proper way. Try not to do shortcuts, because the shortcuts will end up in you having a problem in later down the road, where nobody would want to employ you and nobody would want to accept your journal article because of a fraudulent or any suspected plagiarism that one may have undertaken. So here is a very simple guide that we normally give, and I'm going to run through quite quickly because, again, in the interest of time. So obviously, if you are much more seasoned writer, you don't have to follow this, but this is targeted for people who have not yet published or have published but struggle in finding the time. So with everything, we have to make time. We have to create the time that to allow us to actually write the research and publish it. So it's how do you design your plan and how do you get started itself. So here are the three phases that you must think about when you are writing. Write for yourself what you know, based on what you know, what you think and you feel and you want to share. There must be some excitement in what you're presenting and publishing. And then, but it's very important to understand the journal that you are going to publish in, because then the audience you need to know, how do I change the language in order to make it more appealing with the rest of the articles in the journal, so that when a subscriber reads the research, they say, oh, well, this flows very nicely in the entire journal itself. And then also edit very much for the future generation, right? So what are the future generation is going to be? And here what I mean by future generation is, it could be you, it could be somebody else who later on come to your research and say, oh, well, you know, this was a fantastic research. And you know what, I think times have changed and we need to provide better clarity, better updates on it. But also, you must remember that terms that we use in a local context sometimes may not be relevant. Again, we are reaching out to a global audience. And when you are reaching out to a global audience, you need to be very clear what your objectives is, what is the scope of the research that you're doing, and your language and your structure must be correct. Yeah. So previously, people from non-English speaking countries can say, well, you know what, I'm not a native English speaker and, you know, I need some help. But these days you have journals offer what we call English polishing services. So someone who is a professor in another country or even in the same country, who is bilingual, who is fluent in both languages, and also fluent in the area of research in which you are doing, is able to actually guide you. So most journals charge fees of about $500 or something, 1,000 US dollars, but it's important to use this service because it will help, because once people can't understand what you're saying, immediately they shut down and they move to the next articles. So how do you start? Those wordings in red are the most important. You must be passionate and you must be optimistic. You must be confident. So by and large, mostly we find that in the Latin America, Africa, as well as in Asia, we tend to go down and feel that, you know, perhaps that is someone bigger out there in the Western world. We need to be respectful. I think that's a good attribute that we have. But also, I think we need to come in very confidently, right? So when you are passionate about something, again, how do you organize, right? So write whatever is in your head. Just write whatever that is in your head. You must be comfortable. So many of you, when I attended University of Cambridge, someone asked me, how come this phone is always in my hand? I can't live without it. The first thing I do when I wake up, I look at the phone. When I sleep, I look at the phone. And I found when I'm studying as well, somehow I get distracted by the phone, right? So try to find a quiet time in the day or the night where you can actually be able to focus and concentrate and write new ideas every time on a fresh sheet of paper itself. At this point, it is all about transforming whatever is in your head and your mind onto a piece of paper, because then, as we all know, once you start writing and then you start putting all the papers together, you ask yourself, does this make sense? Yeah. So just putting it doesn't require you to write in proper sentences, but just do it. So here we're just giving you a recommendation of 6 minutes, but obviously you can do much more than that. After the 6 minutes, and then you take all of this paper, you expand on what you have written. So you can say, okay, action research I'm going to do. And then after that, you talk about once you have the methodology in place, how do you actually start and what are you hoping to achieve? And also make sure you just write. You just write and write and write and read and reflect again and say, does it make sense? Would someone else outside of Vietnam would be interested in it? But keep all those notes, whether you're doing a digital notes or whether it's a paper notes, keep all of it. And also discuss with your colleagues and with your professors, ask everybody and say what they feel. And the last thing I put here is you have to listen to comments people have given you. But at the end of the day, you need to go, so peel all the 6 senses. What I'm talking about is the most important is what they call gut feeling. What do you feel inside? Do you really feel that, maybe perhaps this comment is not right, or maybe my work is not that one, the certain points that I'm thinking maybe not be right. Sometimes rely on it. Do not throw it, but rely on it and come back to it at a certain point in time itself. So why publish? So these are the three, I'm going to share with you 3 approaches. So approach a new evidence in an old way. So this is something that has already been published, which I preluded in the earlier slide itself. And then you are giving an update in the research paper itself. And you are saying, well, this has happened during that time, then, but it has worked there. The other thing that you could do as well is to say, well, this may work, say, in this case, Northern Territory in Australia. But if you go down to, say Perth, Western Australia, then the whole outcome of the research might be different. So this is banking, which is quite popular, and we would normally recommend that people do this, is about how do you leverage on what you already seen published in that particular journal and come up with updated information. The second one, it is, so this is, again, we recommend only experienced writers should undertake this, is approaching all evidence in a new way. So here is, you are not really publishing a new research paper. You are actually countering the approach, the methodology, the outcome of a previously published paper and saying, well, I don't agree with this because this is what my researchers have shown. You can do it, but what is important is to make sure that you are respectful of the previous author without putting him or her down. And so I think that is an important part. The third one, which is also very popular, it is pairing all evidence with all approaches in a new way. So again, what are the things that is happening? What are the important things? So here we give you a case of a murder that happened in Italy of a student, and it was making headlines when what the writer decided to do was to make sure that she used that and talk about language and the use of social media or Wikipedia to influence how people judge this this victim or even the perpetrators, in which or has been accused. So this is looking around you, what are the hot topics itself, right? So what are people talking about? So within the COVID-19 situation, on the business side is how companies are coping, right? Has company shut down? What is the hospitality business doing? Have they survived? And who has survived? And why did they survive? You know, those kind of things. But on the other side, where we're talking about psychology, it's a mental wellness program that is so important for one to actually have a research around that. So here what I'm recommending, but obviously not always something that you should be looking at, is look at what is currently exciting and work on it. Yeah. So we all get all of this, right? We get boredom, we get distracted, we lack of confidence, too many words, heavy workload. All of these are what we feel. And then on your right-hand side, you will see things like, well, when you are bored, I do not recommend checking your emails, even though I put it in there, unless you are not like me, because once I check my emails, I will never ever go back to what I'm doing, because it's quite hard. You can either do stretching, you can do walking, something to free your mind so that you get excited. So I exercise a lot, and I can tell you that a lot of my friends who exercise drinks a lot of coffee, drinks a lot of sugar water, you know, and to give them the high, the energy to run faster or to cycle faster. But what happens is you go up like this, it also goes down very quickly. So there's a beauty of water, it's abundant water. It helps to, you know, keep you hydrated. So take short breaks, revisit article, discuss with your colleagues, your professor, look at sample articles from the journals that you have wanting to select, publish in, and look at how are they doing it. Again, at the end, you must have a timetable with every. So if you are looking to be publishing within a, say, a year or so, then you need to have a very strict timetable that allows you to focus. But again, as Professor Lam is saying, Chinese New Year is around the corner, and then you have the, you know, the year of the tiger, the water tiger coming through. We are not advocating that, you know, while the whole world is celebrating Chinese New Year, that you sit down and slog through. We are saying have fun as well. Yeah. So this is editors. So these views come to us from editors that I know at Springer Nature, Wiley Blackwell, and Elsevier. And so these are what they say gets published, right? Because if we are busy, editors who are in charge of the journals itself also are even more busier in what that they do. So it provides insight in important issue. Why is it important, and why are we looking into? So it must give something that is important, is relevant in today's age. And insight is also important for research development, right? So what are things that we are thinking about now is artificial intelligence, right? So you look at, with COVID coming, how do we actually test whether the student is copying if you are doing remote? So one university in Singapore have actually have an artificial intelligence to actually look into the pupil and actually see what is on the screen. So if someone is actually playing cheat and trying to do something, you can do. So these are all what is contributing to research and is becoming exciting. And also it is about a theory that has been developed. How do I expand that theory and make it even better? But the key that all editors come to us and say is, it must stimulate the mind for more questions. It cannot be a close-ended to the point that people say, oh my God, this is fun, but you know what, it's not so fun, there's nothing there. What you want to do is create more questions for more journal articles to come. So when I say questions, I do not mean doubts and people are saying, oh really, is this really serious research, or questioning your research. But saying, for example, I understand that I'm using this sample size and I'm using this methodology and this is the outcome. But if I use this other sample size and different kind of methodology, my research might be in a different way. So you need to create that momentum, yeah. So that is important. What editors say they find most frustrating is that the methodology or the types of methods, the research methods being used is not correct. And they get very frustrated because what does that translate to? It translates to the fact that you actually do not know what the methods to use. And this is, in research sense, is quite a big sin for you to be able to be wrong, because it is almost like going to the police and say, no, you are useless because you are asking for trouble. So this is the most common and something which editors do not like, and they will never ever look. But all of us have memory, right? So the next time you still submit, people will think, gosh, I don't trust this person, right? So try to avoid things that will cause you to be ostracized by the editors-in-chief. Reference to prior work helps, but it's not necessary. Why does it help? It brings your research in the context of the subscriber. It brings your research in the context of the journal, so that there is again continuity again in showing that, well, you've actually understood what this research, this journal is about. Editors like for you to know about their journals. If you have no idea, then it's again quite a bad thing, because you say, oh, well, I've never read. So subscription to journals becomes important. Again, well-written, easy to understand. I'm not going to go through that one. So abstract. So abstract is important. So just don't introduce your abstract. These are plentiful, but let me just give you this one. So here is an actual article, and here is what are things you need to do. State why you embark on the project, right? So maybe there is a gap in the research, maybe there's a debate, or there's a persistent issue that's going on, has not been resolved. Those are the things that you need to go. And as you can see, I've given you exactly where they are appearing. State what your project and study is about, what kind of funding maybe you get, and then the methodology. So the abstract is almost like your window to your entire research, because you're not submitting your entire research at this point in time. Your abstract will be a way of getting people interested in what you are trying to do, yeah? And then state your findings, your conclusions, and including your arguments that you may have in terms of the research that you have. And it is okay, based on what I just said, Alam, to say that, well, my research might be limited because of XYZ methodology I use, or the different sample size that is there, yeah? Yes, Ki Yang?
No, it's okay. Please proceed.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So optional is recommendations that you may have a look yourself, and then let's look at this. So the next thing is, and this is something that I always like to say, I always tell people, I think many of you have no idea, I have about 5 outeyes that I wear. So people who see me out in, say, on the streets in Ho Chi Minh or in Hanoi, may think, okay, who is she? She's tall, what is she? But you know, very rarely people think that I'm a managing director. So when I graduated in London, I went for a job interview at Citibank as a banker. And the first thing they saw me, they said, oh, you know, this, now big hair, you know, makeup, you know, high heels, can't do the work. And so I had to spend so much of time to convince them that I've got brains. So first impressions are important. I'm in front of a person and I can actually tell the person what I feel, and I can convince. But when you are sending something in an email or via the manuscript submission process, you do not have that opportunity. So be very clear before you start communicating with any editors itself, and spell check. That is another thing. People spell wrongly. Sometimes they use British English, sometimes they use Australian English, sometimes they use American English. have one consistent. If the journal is from America, use American English. If it's from Europe, use European English. It needs to be brief. You must be sure. Editors like the assurance that you are not submitting to every journal that you are looking at. You have to make sure that you give people the opportunity that you value the journal itself. Yeah. So when you structure, you must structure, like when I went for the interview, I told myself at the end of the interview, I said, I'm going to get this job and I will make sure that they offer me the job. And so in your article, when the way you're framing it, you have to make it accept my article. Accept my article is a fantastic article, right? So attention to details, write with authority. Do not write passive language, yeah? So week 3, advancing your argument. So some of the common reasons, I'm not going to go through all of them. It will actually tell you what are all of the things. But the one in red is basically the most important. It's not constructive. It's just statements. Statements will not be accepted. People like an objective, a critical thinking of basically of the arguments. It shows that you are actually open, a well-balanced researcher. So week 4, how do you select the journals? So here are some tips, are not necessarily the best, but again, it's not always the same thing that you have to look at. Ask your librarian, ask your mentor and your peers which journals you think is workable. And then you need to ask yourself, whether do I actually bother about high impact factor, or do I am more important about the DORA guidelines itself? And obviously, it's easy for me to say that because I'm not working in a university, but most universities are basing their promotion on publishing in a high impact factor journal. So, but countries are changing. So mainland China is now moving away from impact factor of journals from the West and say, if you publish in local journals itself, you will probably get a promotion rather than just in foreign journals itself. Again, the aims and scope of the journal, make sure that you agree with it, you like the audience and the editorial process, and you believe in that journal and it's what you're publishing or writing is relevant. And again, follow the instructions. Follow the instructions thoroughly. Make your research stand out and make sure that it is very solid in terms, especially of the methodology, and is again ethically sound, right? So it must be important, and you must support everything that you do with data. You must make sure you give the source of your data itself. Choose multiple peer reviews, get a diverse perspective, that is important, so that it reduces individual biasness. Publish for the long term. So when writing journal articles, it is not a short-term thing, it is a long-term thing. So you need to think about the long-term impact of what you are trying to gain, because slowly but surely you become much more confident. So if you need to sell a query letter, these are some of the things that you will need to take into account. I think the first thing is, please, if you do not know the gender of the person, do not assume that it's always a male, right? Do not write, dear sir. Check. In this day and age, you can actually check whether it's a male or a female editor-in-chief itself, yeah? So I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to give you a guideline that, again, what I've all been saying is important. You need to follow the aims and scope of the journal, name the grants, and then also, if your professor have asked you, or if your professor who is an editor or has contributed to that journal prize, prior to that, make a connection, and it has to be a legitimate connection, yeah? So week 5, reviewing the related literature. How do you identify? How do you put your foot in the door? How do you make sure that you can actually get into the journal itself? We talk about the framework of the journal article itself, addressing a gap, extending previous research. So I'm not going to go there. Using the literature. So literature here itself is, what are you finding from your university library, the content, and then work on those itself. Now, there are some journals that accepts a literature review. So it is, you can write that, but again, you need to ask yourself, does my university gives me a promotion if I write a literature review, or is it not? Yeah. Again, here, if you are writing a literature review, and again, you also need to know whether the journal accepts literature review, right? So again, it's all posted on the website. Evaluate past research, identify experts, ask key questions, and what again is the methodology that has been used in there. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to go through this. This is quite deep in the sense. I think if you are interested, please let me know. I am more than happy to give you a slight introduction itself. But these are quite detailed, which I'm not going to go through for today's session. Yeah. So let's go to week 6 and 7. Yes. How do you strengthen and present your research article itself? So here you can see. So think of it as a pyramid, a rectangular, and an inverse pyramid. So the section 1, so after looking at the abstract, you expand on it. So it is from general to specific. So you are creating a framework. So introduction, why are you undertaking this? Again, the gaps or whichever the case might be. And then the statement, your arguments, your findings, your conclusion. Then the rectangular is the methods you have used, the data you have used, the experiments that you have undertaken. What research and methodology have you applied to undertake the research? And that will lead to the inverse pyramid, which is around your results, the conclusions, and also the validity of the methods itself. You can question, but don't question and say, oh, well, I don't think so, this is right. But saying that you can, again, look at various ways itself. So this, again, prevents people from thinking that, oh, well, this person is actually quite skewed in one direction. You want a broader view itself. Side works from that journal or other journals itself shows that you are well read. Yeah. Again, a structure of an academic paper, the title must be noticeable. So what we found is that in social science, you need to have a big, bold main title and a subtitle, which can be explaining what is it. Again, inspirational, you'll see in the next few slides, inspirational, persuasive, provide the location. Don't say, for example, I'm doing research of all Vietnam, which you are, then it's fine. But when you have too large a sample size, it becomes very difficult to pinpoint the legitimacy of that research itself, because it's quite hard. Go on a specific location, Ho Chi Minh, or whichever the case, or say Da Nang, for example, whatever the case might be, but write with authority. Yeah. So here again, introduction, again, attention grabbing. You see myself repeating, but I want to highlight the second last line is always in your mind must be who, what, how, when, where. It must always be in your mind when you're asking where, what is it? How can I make it better? What location I'm looking at? When is it relevant? Why am I writing this? Yeah. So I think these are the key things that you need to take into account. Again, context, methodology. You must do your research. You can't go into writing a research articles without doing your research. And later on, I will show you some tools that will help you identify the methodology and how you can actually enhance your journal article research itself in terms of looking at the data, how to explain, understand the data itself. So again, the results and finding, again, you see possible why, how, who, when, and what. Again, ask yourself, discuss the implication of any actions that you have taken, outline any unanswered questions and possible future research. You can, again, I give the example that is a criticism, a positive criticism of the research that we are talking about. So here you have very much conclusion, which is related to how do you conclude it? And then you summarize, do a summary, and then suggest way, but also again, create that level of continuity. So week 8, importance of revision. Revise, 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 read, revise, revise. So these are the things that we think is important. But this slide is just for you to take. right? To check whether they are redundant, whether the tables and figures are relevant. Does it flow logically? Does it make sense? You label the whatever you have written in accordance with the table or the figures that you're given. So try avoid discussing, just give the outcome of your research itself. Yeah. So this is again just a guideline. You need 5 days, so you don't need 5 hours in that sense. You need 5 days to basically go through, because each day you come with a fresh set of eyes looking at it. You can even ask your colleagues itself or your mentor to have a look at it. Yeah. So redrafting, again, ask yourself these final questions before you go in to submit, and ask, have I answered all of this? So this is again a checklist, and with the checklist you are able to determine whether this is workable for you. Once you check everything, then you are in good hands as well. Yeah. So revising your open and opening or introduction and your conclusion, look at the title, make sure it is important. Why is the title important? I give this very example where I work in Elsevier on the Lancet Infectious Diseases, and it was actually a very good paper from India, but the title put the editor off immediately, because the title says, the spread of AIDS among male Indians due to religious practices, something along the line, because it's too generic. It is too broad, and you think yourself, surely you can't be. But what that person was saying, in the state of Kerala, this particular cultural activity results in a lot of HIV/AIDS patients or cases as a result of what this particular culture activity require them to do. Yeah. So again, revision, and looking at it, and again asking feedback. Yeah. It is important that when you ask for feedback, that you give specific instruction of the kind. Don't say, please give me feedback. Tell them, what are you looking for? Is my methodology correct? Does it flow properly? Does it make sense? Do you think that the subscribers of this journal will actually like what I'm writing? That kind of clarity. Separate message from delivery, right? So sometimes when we give feedback and we say, oh my God, it's quite bad. So these are real life examples where a professor tells a young student and says, oh, you are stupid. This is rubbish. Stop. Do not even think of publishing anymore because you do not know how to write. So it's painful, right? It's very, very painful. But if you remove that emotion that the person is throwing onto you, ask yourself this thing: what he or she is trying to tell me? How can I improve, right? And that will give you a lot of these other ideas that I've taken. But listen sometimes. Try not to immediately counteract with arguments and say, no, but you don't understand what it's saying. Listen to what the person is saying. And then you decide whether what he or she is saying is correct or not. Yeah. And then turn every criticism into an opportunity to do it better. And again, when you discuss complete manuscript, there are many cases where the mentor becomes the, if you like, the enemy. The mentor takes, so a couple of cases in Fiji, in Singapore, and in Taiwan, where the poor young postgraduate student or young researcher goes to his boss and the boss said, oh, forget about publishing here. Don't even think of it, but actually take that and remove the name of the other person and publish it as his or her own. So you must not be gullible in that sense here. But in everything that you do, exercise humility. You should be your own harshest critic. You should look at a paper in a critical objective light and say, how important is it? And then keep short, make it simple. You look at all the journal article, it doesn't have words that people say, oh, what is this person? What is this word? I've never seen. It has to be simple English language itself. At the end of the day, we can all tell you what is necessary. We can all say to you, well, this is what you need to do. But if you yourself do not believe it, then you should not undertake what others have said. Do not do it grudgingly. Yeah. So Week 10, responding. So if you have received a response, how long do I wait? And then later on, I will tell you what are the kind of responses and what are the options available. So here is just a guideline. It is not an absolute requirement. So the 3 months is HSS. So all the months I put here is social science. Humanities are longer. So humanities, you just have to add about 3 months to it. And if you are talking about science and tech, STM, you minus 2 months from what I've given to you here. And so these are the questions you need to ask. When you get back feedback, you say, first of all, if you don't have anything, you need to ask yourself, how long do I wait? And then should I withdraw and say, no, I can't wait for you forever. But don't wait beyond this time, right? Don't wait for 1 year, 2 years and say, I'm still waiting, right? What can you do? The options withdraw, or you can start other projects itself, yeah? So this is a true fact, right? So very often you find that you will get a response where he says, you know what, it doesn't work, you need to revise. So you are lucky, right? The article will be rejected only if the revision is not made. So if you add all of these, you have basically 90%. 10% relates to pure decline. That means totally out of the question itself. So getting it accepted the first time in an international journal is rare. It does happen, but it's rare. But again, it's a very seasoned person itself. Yeah. Here I'm talking about international journals itself. Yeah. And then if you are number 2, you should be jumping for joy because it is very, very unusual for, say, a young professor to be able to go in this. If you have done this, you should be very, very proud of yourself. Yeah. So what kind of editorial rejection you receive? Rejected but will entertain a resubmit. This is fantastic. Rejected and dismissed. So this is an editorial board so a group of people have decided that this article is not worth publishing in my journal. So no way you're going to get it. You can try subsequently by revising. The third one is just one person where you actually usually the editor-in-chief who decides that this article should be rejected itself. Yeah. So how do I respond to each of these? Here are the various ways in which you can respond. Should I revise? Should I abandon? So what I do, I always will say, do not abandon, revise, look for it. But if you feel that someone has been very prejudiced or biased, you can always ask for additional reviews. You can always appeal a decision. But when you appeal, you make sure that you have grounds for appealing. Yeah. Again, think yourself, well, this journal article has rejected. Well, I better go and look at another one. What we recommend is while you have your eye on the highest, if you are looking at impact factor, the highest impact factor, start with journals in there so that you keep on motivating yourself to go up. Because if you try up and you go down and down and down, it's much more demotivating rather than motivating you to write more. Yeah. So final points that to look at itself is be confident, again, humility. This second part itself, sometimes editors are human beings as well, right? So they sometimes look at a country or a city and just say, oh, well, this person definitely doesn't have the capability itself. So we try not to be biased, but people are. And if you feel that that's the case, then you need to raise it up, yeah? Whatever the outcome, you please thank the person and say, thank you so much. But if you get it published, you must celebrate it. In Vietnam, like every part of the world, we love to eat, and we must make sure that we eat and we enjoy. We eat the pho. By the way, I like the pho from Hanoi because it's light and it's delicious. Although I do like spicy food, but there are beautiful food in Vietnam that I've eaten before. So, and I hope to come back the next time again. So these are the famous quotes that you must consider if you are feeling very down and out. Ask yourself, well, this is what I am, right? Now, if you should receive very, very negative comments. So here I'm talking about something very personal, and I'm not looking, again, as I tell every time, for people to sympathize with me. So I come from Brazil, and in Brazil, this skin color is considered a slave color. So I have a sister, an elder sister of mine, who is Miss Brazil Miss Universe, I think 4th or 5th runner-up long time ago in 1970 something. And she's pale skin, very beautiful. And she used to say that my mother picks me up from the dustbin, used to say that I'm stupid. And if I score A, she would tell me all sorts of things. The negative energy that has been coming, you will see, you will hear them. And I bet you. So I came to a crossroad at one point in time. Do I believe this sister of mine? And say, well, really, I must be a slave because of my skin color. And then I just give up on everything. Or I take the route and say, I'm going to prove her wrong. And after so many times, and I obviously have positive people like my mother and my elder sister who give me the encouragement, the motivation. I took that, and today I'm where I am because of the route that I've taken. But if I've listened to her, I would be nowhere. So look at yourself and say, you know what, I will be a change maker. I will be the person that will become the next best thing. So don't come and tell me that I can't do certain things, because I will show you. Don't argue with people like this, because they have their views of their own. So what are the tools that is a must-have when you are looking at research? So one of the major things we found, remember I said that editor said the methodology is wrong. Use SAGE research methods. So SAGE research methods have 3 components in it. One is SAGE research methods core. That will tell you, for example, what are the definitions of different types of methodology? What are the projects? What kind of say, okay, so if I rephrase, how do you correlate different methodologies? How do you know which methodology is actually in contrast? So you have a methods map. But at the same time, you have data sets, right? So in there, data sets are available freely, but when you curate it and make it easy for people to do teaching and learning, that makes it much easier for you to publish it. And then the last thing is SAGE research methods cases. These are cases of people who have published perhaps in a similar field and tell of some of the struggles that they've gone through and how do they overcome those struggles itself. Now, so SAGE research methods is like the must-have. So almost all universities in Singapore and in Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong has this, because they are trying to increase the ranking of the university in the Times Higher Education and increase research. So this is one of the must-have. Now, we can tell you that you have to spend time for this next 2 hours to come and listen to our presentation, and we thank you for that. But if you want to do in your own time, SAGE Campus is the other important thing. So SAGE Campus is our online teaching platform that gives you a flavor of how do you design the research, how do you look at data, how do you make sense of the data, how do you use programming language, right? Python programming, how do you use AI to make sense of the research itself in order to publish the research article. So there is a theme. So it is not like Coursera, it's not like LinkedIn. There is a theme, and that theme is to get you published. So these 2 tools will be the most important tools for you if you are in the areas of humanities and social sciences to get in order to publish and continue to publish research articles, because these are like your gold mine, because they will teach you, because every time we have new courses, critical thinking, we have how is AI, machine learning is helping in the things that we do, remain relevant. Yeah. So with this, I thank you so much. I'm almost not so bad. I've got 4 more minutes. Yeah.
Thank you. So is there any questions?
There is Q&A there. Let me just go and see. Okay.
If not, so I'd like to say thank you, Ms. Rosalia, for your informative and inspiring presentation. I believe this is the first time for many Vietnamese researchers to get sharing on how to get published from a published expert. And now we can move on to the next session about Search Campus and solution from Search Campus for publishing research articles by Dr. Lim Ki Hyang, Customer Relationship Training Manager who covering Asia Pacific. Please also be revealed that prior to joining Search Publishing, Dr. Ki has 10 years of experience in Thomson Reuters, primarily responsible for educating professionals in R&D, corporations, academics, and government departments on IP and science products and service, and produce consultancy advice, helping decision leaders to derive the best strategic value and usage for the research and daily workflow solutions. Welcome, Dr. Ki.
Thank you, Anna, for the introduction, and thank you, Rosalia, okay, for just now the wonderful presentations. So in continuations to what Rosalia had presented just now, I'm going to share with you, I would say, in this session, there are two amazing products, okay, coming from Sage that will be probably helping you to do your research better. Now, let me share my screen first. And also share the sound. Yeah. Okay, so okay, I'm going to make this smaller. Okay, this is the thing that I would like to give all of you, okay, a kind of like, okay, a very important, okay, overview plus, okay, a summary that, okay, Rosalia have just, okay, covered for all of you just now, starting the fact that, okay, from the way that how we conduct research and even talking about how we do the planning, then Rosalia shared a little bit, okay, actually quite in depth, okay, about how you will be able to write your articles, what are the things that you'll need to consider, okay, the emotions, okay, the plus, okay, the logic, okay, the sensible, okay, I would say steps to take before you'll be able to compose your article and then write it up, okay, before you go through the submission process. Now, however, okay, I would like to say that, okay, under the entire, okay, I would say research cycles, right, okay, what we all have actually mentioned today, and in fact, is today's, okay, focusing on the topic is actually on how to get published. And due to the limited time and plus, you know, I would say the ability for us to organize sessions at such a, you know, massive scales, right? You can notice that actually we are going to do how to get published sessions, let's say in about, okay, 2 hours time, right? Be just focusing on one of the, what we so-called the entire, I would say, process, right? It's almost like focusing on the last one, which is getting published. Now, imagine in an actual research as a researchers, we do, okay, need to actually cover a lot more process and steps, okay? Before we are able to getting published, okay, we need to so-called like analyzing the data and finding the report conclusion. When we talk about analyzing the data, naturally, right, you will be start exploring about data visualization, how to make your data, right, okay, more sensible. And a lot of the times, okay, as a researchers, we also need to analyze the data. Some of us here, okay, as a researcher, if you are doing, let's say, on the social science research, maybe you have been actually quite familiar, okay, with some of the programming, such as R programming or Python. And then if today we move another step before that, okay, how are you actually collecting the data? Now, collecting the data is just linked back to what Rosalia had mentioned to you regarding the Sage research methods, right? Now, we always say that, okay, a good methods, right, okay, will save you tremendous amount of time. You don't want to do a research, okay, using the wrong method. And then when you come to analyzing the data, just to realize that, okay, your methodology could be improved or could have chosen another one. And that will actually kind of like wasted you, you know, tremendous amount of time, minimum, maybe 2 to 3 months time just to recollect the data before you'll be able to analyze them. So how to actually determine, okay, a good methodology to use? Then you need to move another step behind that is talking about your research planning. And if today you are really talking about your research planning, before you plan it, you must know, okay, a very, I would say, a good overview, okay, plus, okay, an in-depth understanding about the research that you are doing. And a lot of times we call that, or we take that as literature review, all right? Now, before you can do the review, naturally, you need to do the literature search. So you can see that, right, the whole thing, right, is actually a step-by-step. And all these keywords, okay, no matter it's literature review, researcher search, you know, selecting the right methodology, okay, make a decision on the right methodology, collecting your data, analyzing your data, presenting your data until the final fact that you are going to write your papers, right? The whole process, okay, is actually part of your research, I would say, life, okay? And we call that as a content pathway. Now, today, right, okay, I believe that, okay, we have a good, okay, I would say, combinations of users here, all the way from, I believe that we have undergraduate students when I look at the registration, and we do have, okay, I would say the postgraduate students here, be it you are here from doing your masters, your PhDs. We do have some of the postdoctorals, okay, researchers here, plus the early career researchers or even the faculty members here. Now, you will notice that, right, okay, this is the entire, I would say, okay, your research workflow or your work pathway, whereby in every cycle of your research, right, you're going to do it, okay, or engage it in some way, in one way or another. Now, before I continue further, right, okay, I just want to bring you to the fact that just now, okay, Rosalia have actually made a very good, okay, point to introduce this important database called Sage Research Methods. Now, Sage Research Methods, right, okay, is actually the important criteria, okay, for you, right, okay, to kind of like exploring, right, from the very beginning all the way until the end of the research cycle. Now, in order to make, I would say, okay, you easier to understand, right, one of the very important, I would say, tools that I would like to recommend to you is you just have to follow what we so called the project planner. Now, if today we are just going into the project planner inside this particular tool, what you can actually benefit from this tool here is that, okay, you can see that, okay, the different research stages actually correlate to just now the research pathway that I've been showing you, right? Okay, from how to define a topic, reviewing the right literature, then develop a researchable questions, right? Until you plan your research design. And then is there any ethical concerns that you need to consider? Especially the fact that if today you are doing some, okay, anything that involve, okay, sensitive data, for example, human data, okay, or maybe you want to protect, okay, is there any privacy laws that you need to respect and follow? Then before we move on to the data collections, analyze them, interpret them, visualize them, at the end towards the writing up and disseminate them. How do you promote your paper after that? Okay, now you see that, okay, today we can only be helping you to kind of like covering up, okay, the how to writing up. And if today we're just focusing on how to writing up, right, just looking into here, you will be able to see that so many important information that this wonderful database can provide to you. Now, we will consider that, okay, we are very lucky and fortunate that today, you know, you happen to actually read through this promotional item, then you register yourself and you'll be able to attend these sessions. But out there are a lot more, okay, maybe your colleagues, your peers, you know, your fellow students who are not able to attend these sessions. Okay, then this will be a wonderful, I would say, resource to help them, all right, to actually go through all these, including, like, for example, how am I going to write a research proposal? All right, here we'll provide you, okay, a wonderful video plus the video clips. Okay, plus the fact that we do provide the research proposal and we'll give you a lot more I would say in-depth, okay, recommendations, okay, about how you'll be able to do the research. Right, in the interest of time, I will not go too deep into this, but I just want to actually highlight to you the fact that, okay, we do actually provide a wonderful, I would say, this database to actually a step-by-step to help you going through. Some of our users here, especially, I would say one of the common questions that we always found, okay, always come across is how do we develop a researchable questions, right? This is especially useful for a young researcher whereby, okay, when you are looking for a topic that's amazing, naturally, right, you will always be recommended to do, okay, a thorough literature review. But after you've done a thorough literature review, maybe you have I would say an amazing questions that you come across that you like to solve it. However, sometimes it can be so ambitious that the project is not doable, okay, within the, you know, given time frame, now let's say 3 years to 5 years time. Right, then in that situation, right, how do you actually make it, okay, a researchable question, meaning to say that it has to be doable within the allocated time frame? Do you have the relevant resources? Okay, do you need to actually get the ethical approval, and then whether it is doable in a sense whereby with the current technology, are you, or maybe with the current laboratory or experimental equipment, the tools, are we able to do it? Okay, do it well, do it. Okay, nice. If you're not able to, are you able to, you know, think about the collaboration project? Okay, be it the local, okay, within the Vietnam, or maybe across, okay, the region, or maybe go to the international and find collaborators so that, you know, you can actually have a collaborative project, okay, and leverage on their equipment, right? So this is something that I would like to highlight to you about the research methods. Yeah. Now, but continue, okay, to actually do about all these, right? Okay, the whole process doesn't stop here, okay, because I understand that today we are talking about how to get published, right? So let's focus on how to get published here. Now, just now, okay, Rosalia, okay, have already give us, okay, the very good, okay, understanding plus the fact that the overview about how you'll be able to publish and what are the considerations and important criteria, okay, that you must consider. And looking into all these, right, this is something that's very important. And today I would like to take this opportunity to kind of like introduce you what is called the Sage Campus. Now, basically, okay, if you find that, okay, basically, if you find that just now the presentation that we presented to you, right, okay, is a bit fast, for example, and maybe some of the points that you're still not very clear and you'd like to clarify further, maybe, you know, you'd like to, okay, spend more time, or maybe you have a lot more questions to ask us, but we'll not be able to handle it during these sessions. Well, I would like to encourage you to come to explore, okay, one of our very important, I would say, resource, okay, that we can offer you, okay, that's called the Sage Campus. Basically, this is a structured, okay, online learning courses, okay, that it was being designed, carefully designed, and, okay, instructed led. Meaning to say, right, okay, there is, okay, someone there running you through the courses one by one, step by step, so that at any point of time, all right, if let's say, you know, you cannot finish, okay, within an hour time, you can actually pause it, go to do your thing, and come back in another day or another time. All right, so it's totally self-paced. And it is actually especially suitable, right, for all our, I would say, wide, okay, range of researchers. Okay, be it today you're a young researcher, you're a middle career, or maybe you're an, I would say, an experienced researcher. Because the amount of courses that we can offer here, right, is actually quite large. Okay, and I'm going to demonstrate to you. Now you can see that, right, okay, currently, okay, in Sage Campus, right, okay, we have about 27 courses, okay, that actually all add up to 250 of hours of courses. And in this month, coming up this month in January, we're going to add 4 more courses, all right? And by May, we're going to add 3 more, and then they will all total add up to 34 courses, all add up, round up to about 300 hours, yeah? Okay, I know this content pathway is a bit small, so I'm going to actually kind of like zoom down in a little bit deeper. Okay, now this is how you can see that, okay, we will be able to provide you, okay, important, okay, I would say, information and skill set that you needed, okay, from all the stages of research, be it from the research or all the way to the academic skill set. Now you can see that, okay, usually, remember just now during the data workflow, we will begin with by navigating the data, looking in how critical it is, okay, by retrieving information for your research purposes. Now, we all understand the fact that today we live in a world that is with massive information floating around, right? Every day you have so many information, so many news, so many, I would say, research output that claims, okay, to be authoritative. However, how do you actually differentiate? One of the important criteria is, of course, for example, you have been using the authoritative publisher such as Sage Publishing, right? Okay, if today you go to browse the information, let's say reading through the article from Sage journals, you can rest assured that, okay, this information all has been, okay, stringently peer reviewed. All right, the information insights are, okay, are not just anyhow, you know, just being put up, okay, for the sake of putting up. They will not, right? They are all carefully, stringently peer reviewed. The information you can trust it and you can actually cite. But there is actually a lot more information that mix out there. Okay, the news, the blogs, whereby you are not very sure about the authenticity or the genuinity of the article. How do you actually read this information, okay, critically to ensure that you do not, okay, I would say misled, okay, by all these, okay, confusing information, removing all the noise, yeah? So this is what we so call the critical thinking. Next, we are going to move on to call, how do you know your numbers and your probability? Now, when we read about the reports, we read about a lot of information. A lot of times, right, okay, we do not able to effectively, all right, that means effectively unquote, okay, what this number is trying to tell us. When we have a lot of information put together, to us, it's just a pure data. But how do you actually put this data together and make sensible information? And that will actually become information before you add on your, you know, your brain power and they become a knowledge, yeah? The next one is about the research proposal and the researchable questions. In every research proposal, a good research proposal, there must be a very important, I would say, a very key, okay, research questions that we are aiming to resolve, okay, or that we're aiming to, kind of like handle. So how do you actually handle both of them at the same time so that your research proposal can secure you the funding that you need to proceed your project, the funding that you need, okay, to buy the equipment, to buy the experimental tools, and even your funding that you need to actually get your master or PhD students, right? Then the next thing is you kickstart with your research, and before you'll be collecting your information. Now, one thing very important here is that you see that collecting social media data. This is one of the course in Sage Campus. And I would like to highlight to you the fact that, okay, today, okay, after the end of the day, okay, all of you have the opportunity, okay, to actually provide us the feedback to see whether you'll be interested to actually have a trial of this, okay, wonderful information of, I say, the database resources. And at the end, we also have a quiz, okay, whereby all of you will be able, okay, I think the winners will be able to kind of like win a big prize of accessing the subscription for 6 months. Yeah. So I wish, okay, all of you will be able to be the winner and get access to this, because it teaches you how do you collect data from social media. And we all understand the fact that social media are so common now, okay, in our world. And a lot of our, I would say, commercials, okay, corporations that out there has been using social media to do a lot of promotions, to do a lot of business. But social medias can give a lot more than that. Meaning to say, right, if it can provide the information about the user behavior, it can also provide the information for the user behavior that is related to your social science research studies. Right? There's a lot of things that out there you can actually, I would say, retrieve out from it. The next thing that we move on forward is about, okay, how you analyze the data. And analyzing the data is not so simple as what we always think about. All right, analyzing the data, in fact, is one of the most important criteria. I mean, we often come to a lot of researchers whereby they have done amazing data collection, but without the proper analyzing the data, right, the data itself don't speak a story, don't tell a story, then right, it defeats the entire purpose. So it means that if you have so much data, but you're not able to actually make it into a good story out of the data, because it's supposed to tell you something, but if you're not able to see the information that it's trying to tell you, then it defeats the entire purpose. You can only provide the very surface, right? And which become, I would say, quite a waste, you get what I mean? Yeah, so it's very important that how you analyze the data properly so that you have an inner understanding, so that your research output, right, can, when you're about to publish, right, can actually impress the editorial, can impress the reviewers, okay? And you can actually get your data published, not to mention, finally, you get a lot of citation, and therefore, subsequently, you get the promotion out from all the hard work, yeah? And naturally, we move on to the, I would say, what we talk about today is how you write your research paper. All right, so in this particular course, I would say the campus, right, okay, they do also provide a lot more information, such as how do you publish paper. It has been segregated into part 1 and part 2, and then plus another course on how do you present your research, introductions to publishing in journal, research impact, how to get published, choose the right journal, summation and final touches, review, dealing with feedback, plus promoting your papers. Now, just look at all these. This is something that just Rosalia has just gone through with all of you. But if today you would like to go deeper, to have more understanding, then please, okay, explore with us, okay, regarding this, okay, wonderful Sage Campus. Now, looking into all these, right, I just give you a little bit of like, a brief understanding about navigating the information plus the data literacy. So these are the courses that we mentioned. And just now I did focus and highlight a few on critical thinking, right? How you critically read the information, know your numbers or see your numbers in data, right? And then introductions to data visualization. These are really important. And coming up, releasing this month, we are going to give you the critical reading and writing as well, all right? Under this. Now, the research skill is actually very important. You need to have the relevant research skill. Yes, we do agree the fact that if today you have access to Sage research methods, you can also, kind of like, read a lot understanding about all the various research skills that you needed. However, these are information that you need to read the book, you need to watch the video, you need to study the case studies. And campus, they provide you another alternative mode of learning. That is what we so-called the instructor lab online structured course. So meaning to say, right, you're like attending a course, okay, a course that will actually step-by-step teaching you how to do it and do it right, yeah? So you can, including your research proposal, if today you are actually, try to write a research proposal, how do you do a wonderful and very attractive researchable questions, plan your project, okay, and present your research and analyzing your data. The next one is about the, I would say, the analyzing the data skill, collecting the social media data. Just now I've just mentioned, okay, plus the fact that, okay, just now we also mentioned about how do you fundamental about the quantitative text analysis. Yeah. Last but not least, this is what we have been focusing for today's session. That's about how to getting published. And you can see that we have amazing courses here to help you. All right. Now, usually, okay, we have this kind of so-called, okay, a suggestion and the recommendations for our users to talk about, okay, how you actually publish. And in this publishing research landscape, right, okay, there's this 4 courses, okay, that we'll put together, okay, and recommend to you. And all of the 4 courses, right, okay, are add up to about 6.5 hours, okay, to complete. Okay, it will actually comprise of introductions to journal publishing, why publish, publishing for an impact, choose the right journal, and article acceptance promotion rate, right? Then there's another course that, okay, I will say that if today, okay, even before you go into that, you would like to look into how to write the article and get it published, then there are 4 courses, again, all add up to 8.5 hours time to complete. That is how to write a journal article part 1, how to write a journal article part 2, submission and the final touches. These are the very important, I would say, skill set that you need to learn, peer review, feedback, and decisions. Right now, you may find that, oh, 8.5 hours, it almost took me one whole day. Well, if one whole day of spending reading through the courses can help you to save you, let's say, 2 months of time, okay, or actually doing the wrong thing, or getting your didn't get your article properly read up and getting a rejection, you may as well spend the whole day. But remember, just now we say this is a self-paced, meaning to say if 8.5 hours is not something that you can commit, always, okay, split it up into a couple of days, and anytime you can come back and do a revision. All right. So let's look into the course inside. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate to you, okay, some of the courses here. Here. Okay. Here. Okay. So in order for you to actually go into the, wait now, I'm going to, okay, you're going to log into the, log out again. Just give me a second. I've been logging. Okay. So let me log into one of the courses here. Okay. And change myself to a learner. And I'm going to demonstrate to you, okay, one of the very important, okay, I would say course, okay, so that you can have a feel about how this course is all about. Now, basically, right, okay, as a learner, it's very simple, all right? Once you register an account for yourself, right, you'll be able to explore, okay, you'll be able to explore, right, all the 27 courses that is available to you now. And very soon, right, we'll add 4 more, they'll be added to 31. And all the courses that we mentioned just now, right, okay, not only that you'll be able to know the synopsis, plus the fact that you have an estimated times to learn. So for example, today, okay, I will be very interested to find out the research questions. Then I can view the course details. Here, okay, you will be able to see, okay, a detailed description about the course overview. We will provide you the learning outcomes, and this is something that is very important because you are the teachers of yourself. I would say that, all right? You are very clear on that, okay, what kind of skills you are lagging, what kind of knowledge you would like to gain, right? So from here, you'll be able to identify, for example, how to identify the good features of a good researchable questions, or maybe you would like to turn, okay, a research topic into a tangible research questions. Yeah, these are the things that it may sound so obvious, but sometimes when it comes to doing it, it may not be so simple. So here, if you know that, okay, these are the objective that I would like to learn, these are the knowledge and skills that I would like to learn, then you know that this course is right for you. So in order to start the course, maybe you would like to know about who is the course author as well. So from here, you'll be able to see the course author, look into the bio, or at the same time, you can have an overview to understand that, okay, this particular course, how many modules does it contain? In this case, you have module 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There are 6 modules altogether. And each and every one of them, you can actually open it up and have a deeper understanding to know that what this particular module is covered. So for example, yeah, you already know that, okay, what topics are right for you, and you like to skip this topic. Can you just go straight to this particular module 2 or maybe module 3? Definitely you can. All right, you can just, enroll to start the course. All right, so you just click on here and then you'll be enrolled. Okay, so let us go back to the front page. Now, then you will see 2 more sections. One section is in progress. Another section is not started. Okay, not started means that you have already enrolled yourself, but you have not even started the course. Yeah, in progress means that I'm already halfway. reading through the course. Yeah, so you can see that this is the percentage. So because we mentioned the whole courses are self-paced. In other words, right, it gives you the flexibility. If time is a constraint, if you do not able to commit, okay, within, a day or two to complete the course, don't worry, you can always come back and even spread across, okay, let's say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks time, and you can at any point of time, you can go back to have a refresher, okay, to understand the course deeper. Now, you'll be able to see that there's this assigned and even there's another course is not assigned. Now, bear in mind, if we do have professors here, what I want to introduce is that you can even assign a particular course to your group of researchers or students, okay, your undergrad students, or even your postgraduate students, right? Whereby you know that these are critical skill set for them to learn, critical skill set for them to acquire before they embark on their master's or PhD, okay, journey. Yeah. So let me go into one of them, let's say called how to write journal article. Okay. Number 1, putting your article together. So I'm going to continue. Okay. You can see that the course has already enrolled. Okay, and it is clearly stated. Okay, I think this is something resonate exactly as just what Rosalia have covered with all of you just now, right? So today, all of you come for this session. So naturally, this course will be something that will actually suit you in one way or another. All right, so you can actually see that there are different modules. The first one is structuring your article, right? So I've already completed this course up to 94%, not all of them. And at any point of time, I can continue to complete it to make it 100%. Or I can continue to go to module 2, which is about the tips for writing. Okay. Now, for example, today I'd like to continue to module number 2, the tips for writing. Then I will just click on start. Okay. Then it will go straight into kickstart the course. Yeah. Module 2, tips for writing. You can see that by the end of the module, you will be able to identify relevant resources and apply effective strategies to improve your article and increase your chances of getting published, right? This is the objective that we want to hear, right? Okay, so straight away, it got 4 subtopics. First one is writing clearly and accurately, followed by copy editing, proofreading, the foundations of poorly written article, and how Sage can help you to improve your manuscript. Interesting, right? So maybe you'll say, okay, fair enough. I'd like to know the first one, clearly and accurately writing. So you can just begin your course by looking into it. Now, you'll be able to see that straight away using a clear and academic language. Straight away, you can see that clear and academic language is already a keyword. You don't have to read a lot of reading, like reading through a book. What we have been doing here is that we make the course so concise that only the key points, okay, that you'll be able to see it. You don't have to kind of like, remembering, reading through thousands and thousands of words, okay, just to actually understand, oh, okay, this actually, all can be, summarized into 2 sentences. No, we have already summarized for you. It is so concise that, okay, all these informations are critical for you to understand, right? And you can just read through that, straight away you already know that, okay, what is important for you. So for example, always use grammatically correct academic language. So you know that grammar is actually very important. Now, some of us here may have attended, how to get published, okay, sessions, right? Okay, from here as well as from other sessions as well. And grammar, okay, I'm sure a lot of editor will tell you, okay, grammar is actually very important. So straight away you can see that, okay, this is really summarize everything. And then they will tell you the full name used in the abstract, and if applicable, is used anywhere else in the text. The first time it is used in the context, the abbreviation is in parentheses. Now, we all understand that sometimes, how to get published, it may be, abbreviated into HTGP, for example. But, if you want to use any abbreviation, these are the first tips that you must use, right? So here you see, straightforward. Okay, know a lot of words, they just give you the answer. Number 2, all visual must be clear and relevant label. It means the labeling, right? So if you have a table 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, next chapter, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, and next chapter, so on and so forth. So the labeling and the captions and legends are very important, right? The legends are actually very important. If you don't have a proper legends, sometimes the reviewer may reject, okay, for minor revision, right? So when English is not your native language, what can you do? Now, remember, you are not alone. Now, this is something that I think just now Rosalia have already mentioned, all right? Okay, all of us have to go through this process, okay? And then we have to go through all these exercise, okay, in one way or another. So when English is not our primary language, okay, what are the things that, okay, what you can do, right? So one of the things is that, okay, after you read it, remember, they will ask you to actually seek people, okay, who are better in English to help you to go through, to vet through. These are something that's very important, all right? Try to think in English. This is very important, yeah? Because we notice that, okay, sometimes the authors, they think in their local languages. And when they do the writing up, they become the local, we call the grammar. The way that they write is local grammar, okay, in their local language grammar. And that is actually totally different. So you need to try to think in a English, okay, word. And if, okay, English is really that difficult, I mean, long sentences is impossible, then try to keep it simple, all right? Keep it simple. If you be consistent, for example, using a present tense, you have to be consistent. If it is like describing your research project that has happened in the past, consistently using a past tense. Don't mix the tenses, yeah? Okay, I won't go through all of them, okay, but one thing that I would like to highlight to you is resonate with what Rosalia has just mentioned. Read, all right? The more you read, the better you become, all right? So you not only read, okay, your article, but at the same time, you read the existing paper from that particular journal you plan to submit, and that helps tremendously because you understand the style of the the requirement, okay, for the particular journal, all right? Then there's a point that you can pause to consider, all right? After that, there's a quick question. Now, I love about the Sage Campus is that after we're all reading, we all claim that we understand about this topic. The fact is, do we really understand? Shall we have a quiz? So this is something that you're really able to have a very quick check against, okay, whether you understand this or whether you agree, okay, or you don't understand it. So for example, publisher will correct the language in my manuscript after it has been submitted. Is this statement true or false? Okay, some of you will say true, some of you will say false, but I believe that majority will say, oh, I think it's false. So you have 2 chances to attempt, then you can submit, then correct. So if it is correct, then they will give you the answer that why it is correct. Okay, can normally provide resources, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I won't go through, it's a lot more information here, yeah? So I close it, then there are 3 important checkpoints. Now, you see, if you like to skip this, then this will not be viewed. You actually been encouraged to actually read one by one, all right? And step by step, okay, in order to actually turn this as being viewed. So it's kind of like very important, you know, as a learner, when we go through the process, we all need to ensure that actually we read through the entire proper, because this is already like very concise, highly summarized, and it cannot be skipped anymore. It's not like, you know, a very thick textbook with thousands of words, right? Whereby you can skip here, skip there. This is already like so concise. And if you still continue skipping, right, you're probably skipping the important critical information. So we want you to actually go through each and every one of them, and so that you ensure that you learn through all the key skill set you need to write your journal article. Then we come to a pinpoint to remember, and then we have the active versus a passive voice. So what does the active voice mean here? So you explain, and what does the passive voice here? So you can see that they will change accordingly. You can go back to active voice, and you can read again your passive voice before they will change it to view. Yeah. Now you're supposed to do it yourself. All right. Then you can actually have after that, you can actually have what we actually give you some kind of recommendations. Yeah. Think it through. Now, this is another exercise. After that, okay, they'll give you a strong exercise. Say, okay, 70% of the stage or of the sample saw global warming as an issue. Is it strong or is it a weak argument? Right? This is something that you need to actually count, like, you know, activity to perform. Now, I want to highlight to you the fact that, okay, campus, right, is not just a pure reading whereby, you know, you just like reading through a book, right, whereby it can be quite boring. It's not engaging. Through these kind of activities, right, you can immediately see that, right, not only that you can actually self-check whether you fully understand, fully appreciate, okay, the knowledge that you have just learned, but more important is that it gives you the engagement. It gives you alert and awake and understand the fact that, oh, okay, maybe I thought I know, but in fact, I know it wrongly, right? So it gives you the actually the right understanding about how you do it and before you proceed and submit it, yeah? Now, and finally, we have what editors have to say. And this is very important, right? Because all editors give great, okay, important advice to our user, all right? Now, after that, you can continue with copy editing and proofreading. Now, so it will give you to the next, I would say, topic that you can go through. And again, here, you can see that, okay, a very concise, I would say, reading and materials, it is never, okay, been too kind of like, you know, too heavy for your reading. Everything that you have read, you understand, you check through, okay? Everything you have read, you just treat through, okay? So after that, what are the importance of proofreading? And then tips for the proofreading straight away. okay, they can give you a lot more information from here. Yeah. Then we will move on to what editors will say, plus the fact that we move to the foundations of a, okay, the foundation of a poorly written article. Now, so what do you actually classify as a poorly written article? So why editors reject articles, so and so forth here. So there are a lot more information here. Again, initial review, then the next one, the desk review, okay, plagiarism check, okay, is that too much of a copy, okay, that you that we cite from our authors? Can we just quote the information? I mean, a big chunk of the words from the original, or actually we have to rewrite in our using our own understanding in our own language. Yeah, so this is something that's very important. And finally, peer review. So what is the process? Is it really that scary, or actually it's just a proper process to ensure the contributions of our scientific originality? Yeah, so these are the important things. So one is view, points to remember. All right, so again, we have a quick question. Articles will not be rejected at the first stage due to poor method sections, as this is something authors can work on at a later date. Is that true or false? Okay, maybe I will go for false. Okay, then you can click submit and say, oh yeah, you're correct. Okay, in addition to the reason we have already mentioned, your article could be outright rejected because you have selected the wrong methods. Now, remember just now we mentioned about if you have selected the wrong method, okay, if you have selected the wrong method here, yeah, okay, your project could have been outright rejected. And if you have rejected by this stage and you need to redo this stage, you're going to waste a lot more months. And that's the reason why it's very important that we will suggest you, okay, to actually look into our research methods to ensure that you have the right research design. Yeah. Okay, and if you will prefer, but this is a lot of reading by yourself, and if you prefer to have, you know, a course, okay, a course that will be able to help you, all right, in selecting the right methods, okay, an instructed course, then I would say campus is something that you would like to go for it. Yeah. Okay, so let's continue with our okay, so this is something that, okay, we'll continue with our campus, right? So think it through. So again, you can see that, okay, here, you actually, okay, Chrissy has been, I think this is something like a case study for you to think, okay? So I'm not reading it through, so probably you can select the right project, okay, you select the right answer, all right? Okay, and then maybe you select the right answer, okay, and then you can just submit. Okay, if it is not correct, for example, because I did not read through, then they will say, okay, partly correct, that means I got 1 or 2 answers correct, and you can reset and try. Okay, so this is something that will be able to help you. Yeah. Okay, so okay, then before you move on to the next one, how can Sage will be able to help you in terms of publishing your manuscript? Yeah. So again, we will provide a lot of resources. Okay, language editing. Okay, plus translation service, but these are all, you know, our global services. And then you can even format, and then there are some quick questions here as well. Okay. I will not go too deep into this anymore. Okay. Yeah. You see, it resonates exactly what I've just shown you about the author journey, right? From how you write your research article all the way until here. Okay. Now, no matter what, okay, I just want to highlight to you the fact that today, okay, you're not alone, right? You do have a lot of good resources, okay, that coming offer from Sage that will be able to help you. So from Rosalia, I have just mentioned and share with you regarding how you write a research articles. And if you want to have, you know, a proper revision, have a more in-depth understanding, we do have resources such as Sage Research Methods, which help you step by step, whereby you need to read by yourself, or if you prefer to go through an online structured, okay, self-paced learning course, you do have the opportunity as well to learn about the research project. Okay, last but not least, I just want to change my role a little bit, switch gear to a course assigner. It happened that today we do have a professors here, whereby you find that this is an amazing, I would say, online resource for your students, for your researchers, your research assistants, that whereby you need them to learn, okay, before they even kickstart their project, you can do it, all right? What you can do is that you can even create a cohort. You can create a cohort by entering the name of a cohort and selecting the relevant course. So I already created a cohort earlier. Let me manage my cohort now. Okay, earlier I already created a cohort called how to get published, right? So if I go into how to get published, right? Okay, you can see that, okay, I've already selected 4 different courses, okay, assigned to the learners, okay, assigned to my learners. And assigning the learners is so simple. All you need to do is that after you create a cohort, you just enroll the learners and you send that particular link to the learners. For example, I send it to Shirley. Okay, I send it to Rosalia. That all Rosalia and Shirley, once they register the campus platform, they will be in this cohort and we'll learn together. All right. So why I select this course? Okay, it's very simple because earlier I did mention to you the fact that, okay, Sage did recommend the 4, right? How to write your journal article, part 1, part 2, submission, and final touches plus the peer review, right? Remember? Okay, so this is about the part 1, part 2, submission and final touches, peer review, feedback, and decisions. And if these are the 8.5 hours course that will be beneficial for your students, then you can just simply create a cohort and assign it accordingly. Yeah, so I hope that that summarized everything that I'd like to share with you today. And I hope that you can actually be the winner and win the big prize later on during the quiz. Okay, and then with that, right, okay, that's the sharing part that I would like to share for my sessions. Okay, so I'll pass back the time to the host for our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lim. Ladies and gentlemen, so learning experience in publishing from expert is important, but it is very important for you to get the right tool and right solution to better your works. So thanks for Dr. Key's sharing just now. Now, I believe that more and more researchers know what you can find for improving your research skill and getting published with Sage Campus and Sage Research Method. So the last presentation for today belongs to a very familiar expert in the Vietnam research community. We'd like to welcome and introduce Dr. Hiệp Phạm, Research Director at Lab Asia Center for Educational Research and Development. For your information, Dr. Phạm had got his doctoral degree in Taiwan ROC in International Business in 2017 and used to work at Center for Studies and Higher Education, the University of Melbourne, Australia in 2013 under Underwood Research Fellow Program. Dr. Phạm has published more than 35 Web Science articles in the journal, which is indexed in Web Science and Scopus. So his research focused on higher education, international education, and research policy. Dr. Phạm is also serving as a member of editorial board for 3 journals indexed by Web Science on Scopus. Welcome.
Thank you, Linh, for your introduction, and thank you. I would like to say thank you for Sage, for Vietnam National University Ho Chi Minh City, and for iGroup to give me a chance to take a presentation today to share my experience and to share my research work. And now I would like to share my screen. Yeah, can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah, for better communicate with our audience who are Vietnamese, and because my slides already in English, so I would like to talk in Vietnamese. So for better communicate with my audience. Okay. Vâng ạ, chào các anh các chị. Thì trong cái buổi cái slot này thì tôi sẽ trình bày một cái phân tích trong cái nhóm nghiên cứu của chúng tôi về cái tình hình kết quả nghiên cứu của Việt Nam trong dữ liệu của khoa học xã hội và nhân văn từ năm 65 đến năm 2020, và từ đó thì tôi cũng có một số cái cái chia sẻ, một số cái hàm ý đối với các nhà chính sách cũng như là các cái lãnh đạo các trường đại học. Vâng. Thì tôi nói thêm một chút thì chị Linh cũng vừa giới thiệu về cá nhân tôi rồi. Thì tôi hiện nay đang là giám đốc nghiên cứu của một cái trung tâm nghiên cứu tư nhân cover các cái mảng từ K-12 cho đến giáo dục đại học, và tôi thì phụ trách phần giáo dục đại học và phụ trách phần nghiên cứu cũng như là một cái chương trình trong nó tên là Research Coach in Social Science. Nó có rất là nhiều điểm có thể chia sẻ được với cái Stretch Research Method mà hôm nay chị Rosalia và anh Lim cũng đã có vừa mới trình bày với các anh các chị. Thì trong cái chương trình này thì trong vòng 5 năm qua thì chúng tôi cũng đã đào tạo và huấn luyện khoảng 500 lượt học viên người Việt trong và ngoài nước về các cái phương pháp trong khoa học xã hội. Trong đó thì chúng tôi cũng đã hỗ trợ khoảng 50 bạn là có cái công bố quốc tế đầu tiên trên cái tạp chí ISI và Scopus. Hiện nay thì tôi cũng đang là thành viên ban biên tập rồi biên tập viên của một số cái tạp chí quốc tế và cũng như trong nước, ví dụ như là tạp chí Evaluation Review, đây là một tạp chí thuộc SSCI của SHESH, ví dụ tạp chí Humanities and Social Science Communication, cái này là của Springer Nature, hoặc là một tạp chí mở Journal International Student. Ở Việt Nam thì tôi cũng là thành viên ban biên tập của hai tạp chí thiên về giáo dục, là tạp chí giáo dục của Bộ Giáo dục và Đào tạo và cái chuyên san về giáo dục của tạp chí khoa học của Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội. Tôi cũng công bố những cái chủ đề nghiên cứu chủ yếu của tôi thì là về giáo dục đại học, về giáo dục quốc tế và về chính sách nghiên cứu, và tôi công bố ở nhiều nhà xuất bản Emerald, Springer, Wiley, Taylor Francis, MDPI, và tất nhiên là có cả SHESH. Thì tôi đã có 3 bài công bố ở 3 cái tạp chí của SHESH là Journal of Study in International Education, Policy Future of Education, và mới năm ngoái thì tôi có công bố một bài trên SHESH Open, là một cái tạp chí mở của riêng của SHESH. Nếu anh chị nào muốn quan tâm đến cái topic của tôi thì các anh chị có thể là xem cái đường link OSIT ID này, thì từ đấy thì đọc các cái bài của tôi. Thì trong cái bài này thì tôi sẽ có 3 cái phần để chúng ta chia sẻ. Một cái là tôi sẽ nói về.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you please put full screen for participants?
Sure. Tôi sẽ có 3 cái phần để chia sẻ với các anh các chị. Thứ nhất là những cái chính sách gần đây và những cái sáng kiến gần đây của chính phủ cũng như của Bộ Giáo dục, của Bộ Khoa học và các cái trường đại học Việt Nam trong cái việc là thúc đẩy nghiên cứu khoa học và đạt cái trình độ quốc tế của Việt Nam. Thứ hai thì tôi sẽ chia sẻ một cái phân tích tổng quan của chúng tôi về khoa học xã hội Việt Nam từ trong vòng 50 năm, khoảng 50 năm, hơn 50 năm, từ năm 65 đến năm 2020 là 55 năm, từ cái database của Scopus. Và cuối cùng thì tôi có đưa ra một số cái câu hỏi, một số cái khuyến nghị cho các nhà chính sách cũng như là các cái nhà quản lý của đại học. Thì chúng ta cũng biết là cái chính sách thúc đẩy nghiên cứu và định hướng công bố quốc tế thì nó cũng đã xuất hiện ở Việt Nam hơn chục năm trở lại đây. Thì có những cái mốc quan trọng mà chúng ta cần phải điểm lại. Ví dụ như việc thành lập quỹ NAFOSTEC vào năm 2008, và trong đó thì tập trung nhiều vào công bố quốc tế. Chủ nhiệm đề tài muốn apply thì cái điều kiện là phải đã từng có công bố quốc tế, và điều kiện đầu ra của bài báo thì phải có công bố quốc tế. Và đến ngày nay thì chúng ta đều biết rằng là những cái đề tài cấp bộ và đề tài lớn thì đều có những cái yêu cầu về công bố quốc tế. Đấy, trước đây thì có thể không có, nhưng bây giờ thì các cái dự án lớn không chỉ của NAFOSTEC mà của các cái bộ ngành hay là những chương trình của đề tài cấp nhà nước đều có yêu cầu về công bố quốc tế. Mặc dù có thể là trên cái quy định không ghi rõ, nhưng mà một cách ngầm định là mọi người đều có yêu cầu công bố quốc tế. Rồi năm 2017 thì chúng ta có một cái chính sách và yêu cầu nghiên cứu sinh muốn tốt nghiệp thì là phải có cái công bố quốc tế thì mới được tốt nghiệp. Thì cái thông tư cái quy định về đào tạo tiến sĩ này thì năm ngoái thì có cái thông tư mới ra thì đã bãi bỏ cái điều này rồi. Vì vậy thì tôi nghĩ là cái đà những cái tác động của cái thông tư 08 từ năm 2017 thì nó vẫn còn, và chúng ta đều hiểu là công bố quốc tế là một cái con đường buộc phải đi tới của các cái nhà nghiên cứu, đặc biệt là các nhà nghiên cứu trẻ. Rồi cái quyết định 37 của Thủ tướng về chuyện là quy định về bổ nhiệm giáo sư và phó giáo sư thì cũng có những cái yêu cầu, điều kiện cần đối với giáo sư, phó giáo sư là phải có các cái công bố quốc tế. Đấy là những cái chính sách của nhà nước. Thế còn từ phía các trường đại học thì trong năm gần đây thì chúng ta đã có những cái phong trào là thành lập những cái nhóm nghiên cứu như là một cái thiết chế mới bên cạnh những cái thiết chế khác như là khoa, bộ môn, viện, trung tâm. Thì việc có cái thiết chế là nhóm nghiên cứu mềm dẻo hơn, có thể kết hợp giữa người trong người ngoài để thành lập các cái trong các trường đại học. Bản thân chúng tôi là một trung tâm tư nhân nhưng mà chúng tôi cũng tham gia vào nhiều nhóm nghiên cứu của các cái đại học ở Hà Nội, ví dụ như là của Đại học Quốc gia, của Đại học Sư phạm hay là của một số đại học tư. Rồi những cái chính sách thưởng bài báo từ trường công đến trường tư, từ trường tự chủ đến không tự chủ thì đều có, ít thì nhiều đều có khuyến khích động viên để cho các nhà khoa học và các cái nghiên cứu viên khi mà không có những cái fund khác, không có fund từ đề tài dự án thì có thể công bố và ít thì một vài trăm đô, nhưng mà có những cái trường ví dụ như là Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, Đại học Tôn Đức Thắng thì có thể thưởng đến cả vài ngàn đô, đúng không ạ? Thế thì trong cái phần 2 này thì tôi đưa ra một cái nghiên cứu tổng quan về những cái nghiên cứu về trên database của Scopus mà về khoa học xã hội từ Việt Nam từ năm 1965 đến năm 2020. Cái nghiên cứu này tại sao lại bắt đầu từ năm 1965 là bởi vì là năm 1965 là cái năm mà chúng tôi tìm được cái bài báo đầu tiên của một người Việt công bố ở trên một tạp chí quốc tế. Đấy là giáo sư Nguyễn Đình Hòa, một giáo sư khi mà công bố giáo sư này thì nếu tôi nhớ không nhầm thì giáo sư đang ở Sài Gòn, và vì vậy thì cái mốc đầu tiên là 1965 và chúng tôi chốt vào năm 2020 là bởi vì là khi chúng tôi làm cái nghiên cứu này nó vào giữa năm 2021 thì lúc đấy thì năm 2021 nó chưa kết thúc, cho nên chúng tôi chốt vào 31 tháng 12 năm 2020. Thì yêu cầu là các cái bài báo là phải bằng tiếng Anh, rồi có cái tác giả là với cái ghi trường ở Việt Nam. Điều này để cũng phải lưu ý là bởi vì là trong này thì nó sẽ có nhiều tác giả là người nước ngoài mà ghi cái affiliation Việt Nam, ví dụ như là những cái người nước ngoài công tác ở các đại học Việt Nam hay là những cái nhà khoa học làm việc ở những đại học quốc tế, ví dụ như là MIT Việt Nam chẳng thì cũng được đưa vào đây, mặc dù là người ta có thể là người Mỹ hay người Úc. Các cái bài báo mà chúng tôi những cái thông tin mà chúng tôi collect là từ sách, chương sách, từ tạp chí và từ những cái hội thảo mà được Scopus người ta ghi nhận. Thế thì mọi người chúng ta cũng sẽ thấy là trong khoảng 55 năm thì chúng ta công bố được khoảng gần 9.000 bài báo, cụ thể là 8.629 bài báo và trung bình là 154 bài một năm. Nhưng mà mọi người sẽ thấy là cảm giác dài cho đến khoảng năm 2007 thì cái số công bố của chúng ta rất là hạn chế. Đấy. Thì có hai cái mốc quan trọng vào năm 2008 và năm 2018. Năm 2008 thì lần đầu tiên chúng ta có hơn 100 bài trong khoa học xã hội, 115 bài trong năm 2008. Và cái mốc thứ hai là vào năm 2018 thì các bạn sẽ thấy là lần đầu tiên chúng ta có 4 con số, đúng không? Hoặc 3 con số không, tức là 1.000 bài trở lên. Đấy. Thế thì ở đây thì rất là hay là hai cái mốc này nó trùng phùng với hai cái chính sách hay là sáng kiến mà tôi có trình bày ở slide trước. Đấy là việc thành lập NAFASTET vào năm 2008. Quỹ NAFASTET chính thức đi vào hoạt động vào năm 2008. Cũng như là năm 2017-2018 thì chúng ta có hai cái chính sách về đào tạo tiến sĩ cũng như là bổ nhiệm giáo sư. Đấy. Và từ 2018, 2019, 2020 thì cái tăng trưởng về công bố trong khoa học xã hội và nhân văn của chúng ta rất là nhanh, như một cái dốc đá đứng, chứ còn không phải chỉ là hàm e mũ nữa, mà không phải cấp số nhân mà dốc đứng và tăng trưởng rất là nhanh. Và điều ấy cho thấy là những cái chính sách, những cái sáng kiến của nhà nước cũng như của các trường thì đã có những cái thúc đẩy rất là mạnh mẽ trong nghiên cứu khoa học xã hội của chúng ta, và nó bắt đầu đi vào hiệu quả. Và nếu như cách đây khoảng 10-15 năm thì có cái sự khoảng cách rất là lớn giữa khoa học tự nhiên với khoa học xã hội ở Việt Nam trong nghiên cứu, trong hội nhập quốc tế. Nhưng mà có lẽ là trong những năm gần đây thì Tất nhiên thì vẫn có những khoảng cách của khoa học xã hội với khoa học tự nhiên, nhưng mà cái khoảng cách này nó hẹp lại. Ngoài ra thì cái gia tốc của bên khoa học xã hội thì có lẽ còn nhanh hơn là khoa học tự nhiên. Xét theo cái thể loại công bố thì chúng ta sẽ thấy là đến gần 80% là công bố trên các tạp chí, 15% là công bố ở hội thảo, và số còn lại là sách và chương sách. Và đây là có một cái sự chênh lệch rất là lớn giữa các cái loại hình khác nhau. Tí nữa tôi sẽ bình luận về cái này sau. Về hợp tác quốc tế thì chúng ta hợp tác nhiều nhất với cả Mỹ, và sau đấy là Úc, rồi Trung Quốc, vân vân. Trên cái bản đồ chúng ta sẽ thấy là ví dụ Mỹ chúng ta đồng tác giả đến 1.500 bài. Và nếu mà tính theo các trường thì chúng ta hợp tác với Đại học Quốc gia Singapore là nhiều nhất, rồi một trường ở Iran 76 bài, rồi Amity Australia, vân vân. Ở đây cũng có một số cái rất khá là thú vị là trong những cái nước mà hợp tác nhiều nhất thì những cái trường đại học tương ứng của nó thì nó nằm trong top 10 những trường có hợp tác với chúng ta, nhưng mà Mỹ thì gần như là không thấy ở đây. Đấy, cái này rõ ràng là cái mô hình hợp tác giữa Việt Nam với Mỹ, Việt Nam với Úc, mặc dù là hợp tác rất là nhiều nhưng mà có lẽ có những cái sự khác biệt. Ở Úc thì dường như là tập trung vào một số trường, nhưng mà ở Mỹ có thể là dàn đều. Đấy, ở Trung Quốc cũng không thấy đâu trong top 10. Đấy. Và ở đây thì tôi không ghi ở trên slide, nhưng mà nó đâu đó khoảng 65% số công bố của chúng ta là có hợp tác quốc tế, và chỉ có 35% là nội lực. Đấy. Cái chuyện nội lực hay là hợp tác quốc tế cũng là một cái vấn đề mà cần phải thảo luận. Chúng ta sẽ thảo luận phía sau. Ở đây thì mọi người sẽ thấy là một cái bản đồ mà nó thể hiện cái sự đồng tác giả giữa tác giả Việt Nam với tác giả từ các nước. Và mọi người sẽ thấy là cái vòng tròn càng to thì là càng nhiều bài đồng tác giả. Thì tất nhiên Mỹ và và Úc là hai cái vòng tròn to nhất rồi. Việt Nam đương nhiên là to nhất ở giữa vì đây là bản đồ của chúng ta. Và cái đường nối thể hiện là đồng tác giả. Và cái màu tím thể hiện là đã có hợp tác từ lâu, ví dụ như là Hà Lan, Thụy Sĩ, Mỹ, Đức, Thụy Điển là hợp tác rất là lâu, hợp tác hơn 15 năm, từ khoảng hơn 10 năm. Úc thì khoảng hơn 10 năm trở lại. Và những cái nước mà nó có màu vàng thì là thể hiện là mới hợp tác với chúng ta. Thì chúng ta sẽ thấy là những nước màu vàng, Iran, Pakistan, Iraq thì gần đây là hợp tác rất là nhiều với chúng ta. Khá bất ngờ là Nga là đồng tác giả hơi ít, và cái điểm của nước Nga là cũng là màu xanh cốm, là cũng là mới tham gia với chúng ta. Đấy. Rồi ở đây thì chúng tôi có top những cái trường mà có công bố nhiều nhất. Thế thì cũng rất tình cờ là Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh là cái đơn vị host cái hội thảo hôm nay, thì cũng là cái đại học mà có nhiều công bố quốc tế nhất trong khoa học xã hội ở Việt Nam. Đấy, từ Việt Nam, 1082 bài. Tất nhiên thì cũng phải thú thật với mọi người thì cái con số ở đây nó sẽ có thể nó có những cái sai số nhất định đấy, bởi vì là nó sẽ cái tên gọi của các trường đại học Việt Nam thì nó khá là rắc rối, và đôi khi có thể là chúng tôi đã có những cái bước là meet data và lọc data, nhưng mà cái chuyện bị thiếu sót là chuyện bình thường thôi. Rồi tiếp theo Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội, Đại học Duy Tân, Đại học Kinh tế Hà Nội, Đại học Kinh tế Quốc dân, Đại học Kinh tế thành phố, bây giờ đổi tên là UEH, vân vân. Và khá là bất ngờ là có một số đại học như là Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội lại vào đây, mặc dù là Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội thì nổi tiếng về khoa học kỹ thuật. Thực ra thì khi mà nhìn kỹ vào thì mình sẽ hiểu trong khoa học xã hội ngày nay thì nó có những cái nhánh mới mà nó có sự tham gia rất nhiều của các cái đồng nghiệp bên khoa học tự nhiên. Ví dụ như là một cái chủ đề rất là lớn ở bên khoa học máy tính ngày nay, nó là Natural Language Processing, NLP, thì nó lai giữa ngôn ngữ và lai giữa công nghệ, và nó cũng được tính ở trong khoa học xã hội. Thì vì vậy mà những cái đại học, một số đại học như HUTEC hay là Đại học Bách khoa Hà Nội cũng lọt vào cái top này. Hay là tương tự là một số cái đồng nghiệp ở bên ngành vận chủ học Operational Research thì nó lại rất là gần với Management Science ở bên khoa học xã hội của chúng ta, cho nên là nó nhiều bài nó xuất hiện ở đây. Đấy. Đây thì là định hình nên những cái nhóm nghiên cứu. Đấy, những cái nhóm nghiên cứu, những cái những tác giả thì hiện vòng tròn, và những cái vòng tròn mà gần nhau thì hiện là hay hợp tác với nhau. Cái này thì là bản đồ mà có tất cả các cái nhóm, và các cái nhóm màu tím là những cái tác giả xuất hiện từ lâu rồi, nhóm màu xanh thì là trung dạng trung hạn, và màu vàng màu cốm là mới xuất hiện. Thì ví dụ như là chúng ta có những cái tác giả rất là quan trọng như là Tuấn LT ở bên góc phải màn hình chúng ta. Đây là anh Lưu Trọng Tuấn, anh này là nguyên ở Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, nhưng bây giờ anh đi Úc rồi đấy, và vòng tròn một tím rất là to. Ở giữa đây thì nếu đồng nghiệp nào ở Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội thì sẽ nhìn thấy Trần Quy Tê, ở đây là anh Trần Quang Tuyến, là thành viên của hội đồng NAFOSTET về kinh tế và ở khoa quốc tế của Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội. Hay là nếu mà các đồng nghiệp nào mà nhìn thấy anh Võ XV đây thì tôi nghĩ đấy chính là Võ Xuân Vinh, là giáo sư Võ Xuân Vinh ở Đại học Kinh tế Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh UEH. Hay là anh Vương QH đây thì là anh Vương Quân Hoàng ở Đại học Phenica, làm Đại học Tư, rất là mới với rất nhiều tham vọng ở Hà Nội. Hay là anh Trần Bế, đây chính là anh Trần Xuân Bách, là phó sư ở Đại học Y Hà Nội và rất là nổi tiếng với những cái nghiên cứu về y tế công cộng. Thì ở đây thì tôi cắt ra những cái nhóm mà quan trọng nhất, những cái nhóm quan trọng nhất, và mỗi cái nhóm mà màu cam, ví dụ là cùng màu với nhau là có cái đồng tác giả với nhau. Đấy. Thì tạo thành những cái nhóm. Đấy. Thì ví dụ như là đây nhóm của anh Trần Quang Tuyến này. Rồi anh trong nhóm này có cả anh Nguyễn Việt Cường, không hiện tên lên đây nhưng tôi biết. Đây Nguyễn Việt Cường đây. Rồi nhóm của anh Võ Xuân Vinh, vân vân, nhóm anh Vương Quân Hoàng. Đấy. Thì tạo ra những cái nhóm, đây là những cái nhóm mà tương đối là mạnh, mà tôi zoom vào để sâu cho các bạn. Và đây là theo cái chuỗi thời gian. Đấy. Có những nhóm mới thành lập và có những nhóm nó đủ cả ba màu, màu tím, màu xanh, màu cam, thể hiện là họ nhóm nó liên tiếp trong vòng 15 năm là họ làm việc liên tục, và họ có liên tiếp những nhà khoa học mới tham gia nhóm. Nhưng mà sẽ có những nhóm mà hoàn toàn màu vàng, như là ở góc trái phía dưới này, hoàn toàn màu vàng, thể hiện là diện họ mới thành lập và họ cũng phát triển rất là nhanh. Đấy. Ở đây thì tôi có danh sách top 5 những cái tạp chí mà người Việt công bố nhiều ở bên tay trái. Đấy. Số 1 là Journal of ASEAN Finance, Economics and Business, đây là tạp chí của Hàn Quốc, có gần 400 bài. Rồi tiếp theo là Scientific Report, Sustainability, Post One và Management Science. Và bên phải là những cái tạp chí mà chúng ta có bài, và từ những bài ấy được trích dẫn nhiều nhất. Và chúng ta nhìn thấy là top 5 về số bài và top 5 về trích dẫn là hoàn toàn không giống nhau. Đấy. Có hàm ý gì ở đây? Thực ra mà nói thì cái chất lượng của những cái tạp chí mà bên trích dẫn nhiều thì ở cái đẳng cấp nó cao hơn, thường là báo đơn ngành. Các bạn nhìn thấy thường là về kinh tế hoặc là business và management. Bên trái thì thường báo đa ngành. Này. Rồi đây là những cái nhóm tạp chí hay được trích dẫn cùng với nhau trong một bài, nó tạo thành những cái gọi là trường tri thức. Mọi người sẽ thấy là cái trường bên màu xanh lá bên này thì là thiên về các cái tạp chí về management, về business, và những tạp chí có topic nó liên quan đến nhau, cho nên là hay được trích dẫn cùng nhau. Đấy. Màu đỏ ở trên là thiên về kinh tế, về kinh tế và về finance. Đấy. Màu xanh ở dưới thì dường như là có vẻ liên quan nhiều đến energy. Đấy. Và màu tím ở đây thì tuy ít, chỉ có 2-3 tạp chí thôi, nhưng mà thiên về tourism. Đấy. Thì đây là những cái tạp chí hay được trích dẫn cùng nhau. Đấy. Thế thì chúng ta muốn theo chủ đề nào thì chúng ta phải biết là những cái tạp chí nào nó hay đi cùng nhau. Đấy. Thì cái lưu đồ này thì ở đây tất nhiên tôi trích ra một số những cái lát cắt thôi, chứ còn cái dữ liệu mà chúng tôi có thì nó phức tạp hơn rất là nhiều. Đây là những cái công bố được nhiều trích dẫn nhất. Rồi đây thì là những cái chủ đề mà hay được nghiên cứu nhất, nằm ở cái phần keyword ấy. Thì mọi người sẽ thấy là những cái đường nối nó thể hiện là những cái từ keyword ấy xuất hiện cùng nhau. Tất nhiên là từ Việt Nam nó sẽ nằm ở chính giữa rồi, nhưng mà mọi người sẽ thấy là những cái keyword màu tím là xuất hiện từ rất là lâu rồi, tức là được nghiên cứu lâu rồi. Ví dụ như là đói nghèo, poverty, hay là developing countries, nước phát triển, hay China, màu tím. Đấy. Nhưng mà mọi người sẽ thấy là những cái từ khóa như đói nghèo này, developing countries này, hay China thì nó không to. Mặc dù được nghiên cứu lâu rồi, nhưng mà cái chủ đề này nó bình bình, nó không được nghiên cứu quá nhiều. Ví dụ China là chủ đề tôi nghĩ là rất là quan trọng, và chúng ta cần phải hiểu về Trung Quốc, bởi vì chúng ta đặt cạnh họ chúng ta rất nhiều thứ mà chúng ta trong kinh tế, trong xã hội, trong chính trị đều liên quan đến họ, nhưng mà dường như là chúng ta chưa nghiên cứu về họ nhiều, ít nhất là trên những cái tạp chí quốc tế. Còn có thể tạp chí trong nước thì nó là câu chuyện khác. Nhưng mà như Trung Quốc là tôi nghĩ là từ đây có thể thấy là nghiên cứu chưa đủ nhiều về họ. Đấy. Những cái chủ đề như giáo dục đại học được nghiên cứu tương đối nhiều, hay là những cái chủ đề mới xuất hiện như là firm performance, financial performance xuất hiện nhưng mà màu vàng và xuất hiện nhưng mà vòng tròn rất là lớn, thể hiện là thu hút sự quan tâm rất là nhiều. Hay là Covid-19, đương nhiên rồi, vì nó xuất hiện từ năm 2020 đến giờ, đúng không ạ? Đấy. Và đây là những cái chủ điểm nó xuất hiện theo thời gian. Đấy. Cái vạch màu xanh thể hiện là cái năm đầu tiên nó xuất hiện và nó được nghiên cứu nhiều. Đây là những cái keyword được nghiên cứu nhiều. Đấy. Thì cái này tôi lọc ra từ cái database mà chúng tôi thu thập được. Đấy. Thế thì tất nhiên thì cái dữ liệu này của chúng tôi thì nó rất là nhiều. Cái số mà hình ảnh rồi số bảng biểu chúng tôi sâu ra đây có lẽ nó chỉ khoảng 1/4 những thứ mà chúng tôi có thôi, nhưng mà thôi, trong cái khuôn khổ của một cái buổi nó chỉ có 15-20 phút thì tôi cũng chỉ có thể sâu được một số cái lát cắt mà chúng tôi cảm thấy thú vị mà chúng tôi muốn chia sẻ với các bạn. Thế thì ở đây thì tôi cũng có muốn là đưa ra một số cái hàm ý cho các nhà chính sách và các cái nhà lãnh đạo đại học. Và thực ra thì tôi nghĩ là cá nhân tôi thì nó cũng những cái nhận xét của tôi thì nó cũng chỉ là cá nhân thôi, và tôi cũng không dám đưa ra cái gì đấy mang tính chất là đau to búa lớn. Đấy. Trong cái bài của chị Rosalia, chị có nói một ý là nhà khoa học thì cần phải biết khiêm tốn, thì tôi nghĩ là cho nên là vì vậy tôi cũng sẽ không dám đưa ra những cái nhận định mang tính chất quả quyết cao, mà tôi chỉ dám đưa ra những cái câu hỏi, và có khi đưa ra câu hỏi đúng là đã ra được cái câu trả lời đúng, đã ra được nửa câu trả lời rồi. Và tôi đưa ra những cái câu hỏi và tôi cũng thử trả lời một chút xem là nó thế nào, và cũng hy vọng là cũng nhận được cái sự chia sẻ của mọi người và nghe mọi người thảo luận lại. Thứ nhất thì là rõ ràng là khoa học xã hội của chúng ta thì bây giờ nó không phải là cái giai đoạn là cần phải có rất nhiều công bố nữa rồi, bởi vì là chúng ta tăng trưởng rất là nhanh và cái đà này sẽ tiếp tục còn tăng trưởng những năm tới. Nhưng mà chúng ta cũng bắt đầu phải nghĩ chuyện là làm sao để tránh những cái tạp chí có chất lượng thấp và thúc đẩy những cái tạp chí có công bố chất lượng cao. Đấy. Ví dụ như là vừa rồi chúng ta sẽ thấy là trong những cái danh sách những cái tạp chí mà chúng ta có nhiều tác giả người Việt công bố nhiều nhất thì có một cái tạp chí số 5 ấy, là Management Science ấy, thì nó là của cái đây để tôi tìm lại xem đúng. Management Science Letter, thì chúng ta đều biết tạp chí này là tạp chí đã out khỏi Scopus từ năm ngoái, và về cơ bản là tạp chí này nó cũng có những cái điều tiếng nhất định về cái chuyện là hơi bị dễ dãi trong review, và rõ ràng là nhưng mà nó đã thu hút một cái lượng công bố rất là nhiều vào đấy. Thế thì làm sao để chúng ta đưa ra những chính sách để thúc đẩy cái việc là các nhà khoa học công bố vào những cái tạp chí tốt, tạp chí chất lượng cao, hoặc là nó không chỉ là câu chuyện là tạp chí này nọ mà vấn đề chất lượng của bài viết, bài báo. Nó đôi khi là không có một chỉ số indicator nào so sánh được, không chỉ citation, nhưng mà chúng ta phải thúc đẩy cái chuyện này. Đấy. Rồi thứ hai là chúng ta đã có những cái nhóm nghiên cứu định hình mà hoạt động rất là active trong khoa học xã hội. Đấy. Trước đây thì gần như không có. Đấy. Cái thời ví dụ như chúng ta thấy có anh Lưu Trọng Tuấn ấy. Anh ấy là một nhà khoa học mà chuyên viết bài solo với mình, và anh xuất hiện, anh ấy làm nghiên cứu từ rất là lâu rồi, nhưng mà anh khá là lẻ loi, và đến bây giờ thì anh ấy đi Úc rồi. Thế nhưng mà đấy là một cái ca mà cũng rất là đáng tiếc. Nếu mà giả sử chúng ta có một môi trường tốt hơn tạo cho anh cái nhóm nghiên cứu thì có lẽ là anh, bởi vì anh đã đi Úc từ cái khi mà tất nhiên tôi nghĩ là về đấy là vì cá nhân anh còn nhiều lý do khác để anh ấy rời khỏi Việt Nam, nhưng mà anh đi Úc từ những năm tôi nhớ khoảng 2017 2018 rồi. Thì nếu mà chúng ta có những môi trường tốt thì cũng có thể hút anh ở lại, thì làm việc tích cực ở trong nước, tạo thành những nhóm. Đấy, thì ví dụ như tôi nghĩ những cái nhóm lớn như nhóm của anh, những cái nhóm lớn thì có lẽ là nhà trường hay là chính phủ, thì thậm chí là phải có những chương trình đặc biệt dành cho họ, mà không phải chờ họ đi xin tiền của nhà nước, của chính phủ, mà nhà nước rồi chính phủ rồi các trường đại học là phải đặt hàng họ, bởi vì họ là những cái nhóm mà đã establish rồi và đã cạnh tranh sòng phẳng với quốc tế rồi. Tôi tin là những cái nhóm đấy thì cạnh tranh hoàn toàn sòng phẳng với những đại học trong top 200 trên thế giới. Tất nhiên tôi nghĩ là tôi không đủ năng lực để mà đánh giá kỹ, nhưng mà so đến top 50, top 30 thế giới thì khó, nhưng mà top 200 thế giới thì những cái nhóm này thì tôi nghĩ không kém gì những cái nhà khoa học khác. Họ ở những cái trường đại học trong top 200 mà họ được rất là nhiều cái hỗ trợ của như hôm nay chúng ta có 2 đồng nghiệp từ Malaysia, thì mà biết rằng Malaysia thì họ đầu tư kinh khủng khiếp lắm. Đấy. Thế thì làm sao để hỗ trợ được những cái nhóm nghiên cứu được thành lập, và chúng ta đã có những cái nhà khoa học đầu đàn đầu ngành ở trong khoa học xã hội rồi. Đấy. Và thì làm sao để support cho họ. Rồi câu hỏi nữa tôi muốn đặt ra là làm sao để duy trì nuôi dưỡng được những cái nhà nghiên cứu tài năng trong tương lai. Đấy. Thế thì chúng ta đều hiểu rằng là các nhóm nghiên cứu thì sẽ không thể thiếu những nhà nghiên cứu viên trẻ ở level master, level nghiên cứu sinh và level năm cuối đại học. Thế thì bấy lâu nay thì là những cái em giỏi nhất thì các em đi nước ngoài hết. Thế nhưng mà bây giờ chúng ta đã có những cái nhóm nghiên cứu tốt này, mà việc thiếu nghiên cứu sinh trong nhóm thì nó làm cho hững hụt cái nhóm nó bị khuyết một cái component rất là quan trọng. Bản thân như nhóm của tôi thì các bạn giỏi nhất các bạn đều đi nước ngoài mất, rất là tiếc. Mình đã mất công đào tạo, nhưng mà mình không thể đủ nguồn lực để mình giữ các bạn, thì mình đành phải để hỗ trợ để cho các bạn đi. Đấy. Thế thì đấy là một điều tiếc. Nhưng mà nếu mà thiếu thì các bạn thì đúng là không thành một cái nhóm nghiên cứu hoàn chỉnh, và vì vậy không thể làm được những cái nghiên cứu dài hơi, nghiên cứu mang tính chất là đột phá và cạnh tranh được với quốc tế, và ra được những nghiên cứu mà nó tác động đến cái quốc kế dân sinh, những cái việc hàng ngày của của đời sống kinh tế xã hội mà chúng ta cần, đúng không ạ? Rồi tôi cũng muốn đưa ra một cái vấn đề nữa mà chúng ta cần phải suy nghĩ, là cũng đến lúc chúng ta cần phải mapping, cần phải so sánh cái một bên là cái mong muốn của xã hội, mong muốn của chính phủ, mong muốn của nhà nước, là những vấn đề mà xã hội, của doanh nghiệp, của nhà nước cần, và một bên là những thứ nhà khoa học làm. Đấy, thì ví dụ như là chúng ta đã có một cái bản đồ về những cái keyword mà các nhà khoa học đang quan tâm, thì liệu rằng những cái keyword, những cái bản đồ này, những cái nội dung này, nó thực sự là cái sự quan tâm của doanh nghiệp hay không, nó thực sự là sự quan tâm của xã hội và của chính phủ, của nhà nước hay không. Thì cũng đến lúc mà chúng ta cần phải mapping, bởi vì là nếu không thì hai bên mãi cứ lệch nhau. Nhà khoa học cứ cuối cùng là chỉ sản xuất bài. Thì ngày xưa là sản xuất bài cho vào ngăn kéo tủ, thì bây giờ sản xuất bài nó đưa lên mạng xong cũng không ai dùng, đúng không? Thế thì bây giờ phải có cái sự mapping. Thực ra thì tôi đã thử một cái mapping ở trong một tỉnh ở Việt Nam. Tôi đối sánh những cái nghiên cứu của các trường đại học ở tỉnh đó và những nhà khoa học ở trong nước mà nghiên cứu mà về cái tỉnh đó, với một bên là tôi so sánh cái văn kiện đại hội đảng của tỉnh, xem là cái keyword của các nhà khoa học và của văn kiện của đại hội đảng của tỉnh, của nó có fit gì với nhau, những cái nghị quyết nó có fit gì với nhau không, thì tôi thấy là lệch rất là nhiều. Một bên phía chính quyền tỉnh thì đưa ra rất nhiều những cái định hướng khác, nhưng mà các nhà khoa học trong tỉnh đó, hoặc là các nhà khoa học trong cả nước mà nghiên cứu cái tỉnh đó, thì toàn nghiên cứu những cái đâu. Thế thì đây là những cái ghép mà chúng ta cần phải suy nghĩ, bởi vì nhà khoa học đã đến lúc chúng ta không thể nào cứ ngồi trong tháp ngà và chúng ta làm những thứ mà chúng ta thích, mà chúng ta phải quan tâm đến những cái mà xã hội và nhà nước cần, đúng không ạ? Đấy, tất nhiên chúng ta vẫn phải giữ cái cách thức, nguyên tắc làm việc của chúng ta, nhưng chúng ta không phải là làm ứng dụng. Đây vẫn là khoa học nghiên cứu hàn lâm mà thôi, nhưng mà nó phải chuẩn bị cho cái sự kết nối giữa hai bên. Đấy. Thế thì một cái nữa thì nhân hôm nay thì có hai bài trình bày nói về hai cái vấn đề mà rất là hay. Một là và đều là những cái sáng kiến và những cái movement, những cái sáng kiến rất là mới và rất là cập nhật ở trên thế giới trong vòng chỉ 2-3 năm trở lại đây thôi. Đấy là Open Science, khoa học mở, tạp chí mở mà chị Rosalia chị nói, cũng như là cái Search Method và Search Campus mà anh Lee mình nói. Thì có thể nói thì nhóm của chúng tôi thì từ 1-2 năm nay thì là thì sử dụng rất là tích cực những cái solution này. Thì chúng tôi nghĩ là những cái sáng kiến này thì nó support cho chúng ta, nó giúp cho chúng ta làm, tôi nghĩ là hai việc. Một là 3 việc. Một là chọn đi đúng hướng, không đi lệch hướng. Thứ hai là tiết kiệm nguồn lực, không bị lan man và không bị tốn quá nhiều thời gian, công sức và tiền bạc. Và cái nữa là làm mọi thứ nó nhanh, làm mọi thứ nó hiệu quả, hiệu suất. Thực ra thì cái quan sát của chúng tôi là cho thấy thực ra thì một cái bệnh chung của giới nghiên cứu của chúng ta là thường ít quan tâm đến tốc độ và hiệu suất. Tốc độ đây không có nghĩa là làm ổn, mà tốc độ mà vẫn giữ được chất lượng và đảm bảo hiệu suất, cái đấy mới khó. Thế thì ví dụ như là tôi chỉ hình dung nhé, cái này cũng là chia sẻ thật trong nhóm tôi. Thì ví dụ như là trước đây để mà học những cái phương pháp nghiên cứu mới thì bọn tôi cũng gặp rất là nhiều khó khăn, bởi vì là dù sao thì không có ai là giỏi tất cả phương pháp cả. Thì cách đây khoảng 3-4 năm thì tôi phải làm gì ạ? Tôi muốn học phương pháp mới thì tôi thường là tôi sẽ đọc những cái paper mà sử dụng những cái phương pháp đó, mà nếu mà của người Việt thì tốt. Sau khi tôi liên lạc trực tiếp với cả cái nhóm tác giả đó và tôi xin là đến học. Nếu mà ở Việt Nam thì đến tận nơi, lúc ấy chưa Covid, đến tận nơi. Thế còn nếu mà cách xa nhau thì học qua online, đấy thì gọi là tầm sư học đạo theo cái lối đấy. Nhưng mà từ lúc có search research method thì chúng tôi tương tác với nhau trên đấy hết, bởi vì là như cái bài giới thiệu thì cái platform ấy nó có tất cả mọi thứ đấy. Thì thực sự là tiết kiệm thời gian đấy. Tất nhiên thì bằng cách khác chúng tôi vẫn học được hết, bởi vì là có đọc paper, nhưng mà ở đây nó mọi thứ everything trong một cái platform đấy. Thì cái đấy là một cái tôi nghĩ rất là ổn đấy. Thì và cái cách học của chúng tôi thì bây giờ nó chuyển sang thành blended và flipped, tức là gì? Thay vì là phải đi học thì bây giờ xem clip bài giảng, xong đọc sách, rồi đọc những cái chia sẻ ở trên đó. Sau đấy thì là giảng lại lẫn nhau, thì là qua thực tiễn công việc thôi. Thế còn bài học lý thuyết là đọc ở xem ở trên cái nền tảng đó rồi. Vâng, thì trên đây thì là cái bài trình bày của tôi ngày hôm nay. Thì tôi rất cảm ơn cái sự quan tâm của quý vị. Và tôi cũng cái bài trình bày này là một cái phần của một nghiên cứu mà chúng tôi làm với trong cái nhóm nghiên cứu hợp tác với Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội. Để tôi xin chân thành cảm ơn lãnh đạo Đại học Quốc gia Hà Nội đã tài trợ cho nghiên cứu của chúng tôi. Đây là email cũng như là website của tổ chức của tôi. Nếu các thầy cô nào có quan tâm thì xin vui lòng liên lạc. Xin cảm ơn.
So thank you, Dr. Yafan, for very informative presentation. Now we will move to the Q&A sessions. So Mutiara, you will help me to run the Q&A sessions. Firstly, I think we will have to share some of the questions with our answer in the chat box, and then we may have some raised hand if anyone have another questions. This okay? Okay. So let me share some of the questions so far. The first questions for Ms. Rosalia. In phase 2, in her presentation, in phase 2, we try to communicate with readers. You have mentioned the way to overcome the language barrier, but how would such overcome the difference in culture or religion as an international publication? For example, LGBT is against Christian and Russian government. And the answer is, such is a strong advocate of DE&I, which encourage more editors of our research from anyone regardless of their religion, race, sexual orientation. We have won award for being a DE&I publisher. The second question is, I have sent my entire paper to a conference proceeding. Am I allowed to submit it to a journal? And if the paper has been published in Vietnamese, would be all right to be translated and submit in English? In case of use, so the answer is, you need to check the aims and scope to determine if the journal accepts conference proceedings. If not, one needs to rewrite like a research journal article and let the EIC know there is a Vietnamese language is published in another local journal. Generally, most ETC will need a more compelling reason to republish a local language article in English. The third question is, in case of using primary data, could you give me some ideas about how to justify that data is complete and accurate? And the answer is, using reliable data resources. For example, using such research methods, align your key factors and parameters, maintain some level of neutrality, and use automated programs like Python, which is a word standard programming language. The fourth question is, can experts share effective methods of searching and selecting sources? Answer. At such research methods, there is a drop-down list which describes each method and which SRM, the search research method cases. There are actual examples of the methodology they have used. You need to have one method, and then SRM will make recommendations of other methods. Okay, and the very popular questions that can I receive a copy of the recording after this sessions? Yes, definitely. We will send to your register email to this workshop. And other questions regarding to the how to register Sage Path or Sage Campus, please contact us at the email we will put in the chat box later. Okay, so now we will move to the other questions, if any.
I received a questions. Okay, there is a questions that are asking, right, what is the main difference between the Sage research methods and Sage Campus? So allow me to answer here. So so basically, right, okay, Sage research methods, right, okay, is a database, okay, that comprise of books, reference, cases, data sets, and video. So meaning to say, like, okay, if I'm a researcher and I want to study, for example, let's say focus group. Okay, so I will type in the keyword focus group, and I need to select the books I want to read, the cases I need to study, data sets I need to use, video I'm going to watch, everything by myself. But I have a full control of what I want to learn, what I don't want to learn. Okay, Campus is different. Campus is like you are attending an online course, a course that's been structured online design. So if this course particularly mentioned about, let's say, R programming, then the author has already selected what are the summary you need to do, what are the video you need to watch, what are the quiz you need to take. So it's like, I go to a university, I attend a course, and the lecturer decide, okay, and design a course from the start until the end. So I'm like attending a course. But the other is like a database. You have the options and freedom to select what you want to read, what you can skip, what video you want to watch, etc. So it's actually very different. So if today I'm a very experienced researcher, okay, I can go to SRM because I only need maybe one case or maybe a data set or maybe just refer partially of a book because I know what I want and I'm quite experienced. But today, if I'm a young researcher, a lot of things I don't know what, because when you type focus group, right, there could be 80 books come out all about focus group and you do not know which book I'm supposed to read. Yeah. So you need someone like a lecturer, select the right book for you. Then they will give you the right video, let you do a little bit of quiz, test your knowledge, and then tell you the answer and give you all the tips. So it's actually very concise. So it's actually served for different purposes. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. I want to add something to your answer. Actually,
Yeah, sure.
based on my experiences, in my point of view, such campus is for undergraduate or graduate student. And such research method is for active researcher or more senior. Because when you face with challenge, when you conduct research, you go to research method and you learn from our college and from the book, from the real practice, and it's well organized by shared research method, and we can pick up one or two very small but very important issue and learn it quickly and come back to continue with our research. However, for junior, they need to start from very beginning.
Yes.
Let's go to shared campus. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
We have our colleague named Nguyen Nguyen. Maybe Nguyen Nguyen want to say something, please.
Nguyen Nguyen, right? Okay. Yeah, Nguyen Nguyen is actually raising the hand, so we will make her allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nguyen Nguyen, you are not allowed to talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nguyen Nguyen, you can unmute yourself now and you are able to ask questions.
Okay. Maybe there's some trouble regarding technical issue with Nguyen.
Yeah.
We may maybe he will join us later on. Maybe we have questions from other. Please.
Yeah,
sure.
we can skip this because I have other questions from a participant that after the presentation from Dr. Lim, there is a concern that they are very familiar with like a general e-learning platform such as Coursera. So how do you differentiate Sage Campus from that in terms of coverage and quality? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the questions. Yeah, okay. So basically, Sage Campus, right? Okay, it is very different because it is specifically designed for academic with practical skill set. Yeah. So in other words, right? Okay. We are not designed for a mass market learning objective whereby we only focus on theory. I mean, we are aware that when we design this campus, we have actually know that we must come up with something that is special to us so that we are able to, actually convince the market that, okay, this is the one to go. If you look closely into campus, right, you will notice that actually all the course is designed according to the research pathway, remember, right? From the very beginning until the end. We do not design something for, how to do Excel, all these which is actually helpful, but it's not the main research workflow across the entire path. So when we first design this, right, every course that we go in, it comes with a team. Like for example, okay, remember data literacy is a team, research skill set is a team. Okay, like for example, okay, how to get published is a team. Then for example, okay, the research methodology is a team. So we actually segregate all the information according to the team. And what very important here is I also want to highlight in terms of quality is that all the authors, okay, they are working with us, right? They are real research practitioners. So when I say practitioners means that, okay, they don't just teach you theory. They will share with you the application aspect of how to use this theory into it. So one of the key highlight I would say is that, for example, all right, the statistics, okay, courses that we design, we are actually working with the Royal Statistical Society, and we're also working with the DLab, okay, from the University of California, to ensure that you have the best author to develop the course, and plus the fact that, okay, these courses, right, are carefully reviewed to ensure that, okay, our authors will learn something to increase their employability in the future. So we can actually differentiate ourselves distinctively from the mass market course provider because we target at the user for a university. So this is something very different. It's just like, you can go to let's say a bookstore, all right, and then pick up any book, all right, and then say, okay, I'm going to learn about, okay, this theory yourself. But at the same time, why do you want to go to a university and attend a particular course? Because the course that is designed by a university is specifically designed, right, for that level of users suitable for your learning. Of course, you can also go to a course and then pick up a book and then still study yourself. But actually the outcome, okay, will be slightly different. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. So do we have any more questions? Muti, can you check for me if there is any other questions that we haven't answered yet? All right.
May I have a question for Dr. Rosalia?
She's not here,
Yeah.
but we will help to answer. Okay.
I have a question
Yes.
about how do you think about the interdisciplinary research? Interdisciplinary, yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of interdisciplinary research?
Yeah, okay. Interdisciplinary research is definitely, I think, something that is already in our research. It's just that whether you're already noticing it or not. Now, when we do about the research, right, it's never like a single discipline. Just take myself as an example. Okay, when I study my, okay, I'm an engineer by training. So I graduate from a mechanical and production engineering school, right? But my PhD project is actually focusing on heart valve engineering. So I'm doing animal studies, putting in a sonometric crystal into the heart, and then maintaining the ship for 6 months before we actually analyze the data. And at the same time, I do, I would say, the finite element study simulation. So you can see there, right, in order to complete a project, right, actually you have been already combined, all right, not only the one particular discipline, okay, in mechanical, but in fluid dynamics, but at the same time, right, you need to actually study, all right, the biological, the physiological, okay, theories, right, to actually have a combinations, okay, and the practical aspect. So it is not, it is not, I would say, okay, so basically, if I would say that in the research can actually have two main, I would say, application track. One is that the application whereby you have a lot of interdisciplinary research where you will need to design something to solve an issue or tackle an issue for the practical use. The other is what we so-called the basic science research. These may be, all right, they will be more focused, okay, on a particular discipline. But bear in mind, that doesn't stop us from innovating across disciplinary. Okay, like for example, you know, currently, right, you have also see a lot of schools. Last time we used to have mechanical. Then the school actually expanded, okay, become biomechanical. Okay, and then the school further expanded, become biomechanical and robotic. So you can see that they actually keep expanding, okay, the cross-disciplinary in order to solve today's, I would say, research questions, because the question is getting more and more complicated. But we do not deny the fact that, for example, they invented, again, one of the Nobel Prize, I would say, laureate, they invented, okay, about the thinnest, okay, carbon sheet, okay, that is actually an innovation in terms of, you know, physics. Yeah, so that actually is another layer, but that is actually what we call the fundamental research. So actually a good combinations between these and these and these, right, can actually solve a lot of problems. But if you want to have a revolutionary, I would say, fundamental, okay, that is applicable or that support the rest of the research, right, then the basic research is the fundamentals that we have to go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more other questions?
Thank you. I don't see.
And now we have one
more
question
questions.
from Nguyễn Hoàng Phương
Oh,
from Q&A.
Q&A. I think I missed that.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is the question?
There are two questions.
Oh, okay.
The first one will be the 6 campus subscription fee for a university. That
that
one,
one,
we'll leave it to
I Group
Yeah.
Vietnam. No, I Group
Yeah.
Vietnam.
I
Lin.
Group Vietnam, right? Okay,
Yeah.
Lin, right? Okay, so Lin, you will take care of these after
Okay.
that. Okay.
Sure.
So Lin, probably you can actually, because it's anonymous attendee, so you can probably get the email address, then you can get connected with the user.
Yeah.
The second question is, do you have any suggestions for me about doing research and making publication in the field of Vietnamese language teaching and Vietnamese linguistics? Thank you very much. So this one will Dr. Hip Farm, or actually you would like us to take care? Yeah, because it's about Vietnamese language teaching and Vietnamese linguistics. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your interesting question. I think that I'm not the very right person to answer your question, because I'm not in language teaching and linguistics. However, because I have some of my student and college who are in language teaching and linguistics, I can introduce to you. You should you should read from the guru, the top researcher in the world and in your field, and also you should read from the guru from Vietnam in your field. For example, can you answer me who is the most productive researcher in language teaching and linguistics from Vietnam? Do you know who is he, or who is her? Who is she, or who is he? If you cannot answer this question, very difficult for you to follow the topic. And you read from them, you learn how they conduct their research, what topics they choose, and why, and try to connect to them, ask them why. For example, I may say one of my one of my colleagues, she's Dr. Thủy Minh. She used to be in Nanyang Technology Universities, and now she moved to New Zealand. She's in linguistics. When I think about researcher in linguistics, I always think to him. And for language teaching, when I think about language teaching, I gonna to think about Dr. Phạm Hòa Hiệp. He's also the same name with me, Hiệp Phạm, but he's Phạm Hòa Hiệp. He's used to work for the Huế University, Huế. Now he moved to New Zealand also. And you should talk to people like them, and you know how, and they will support you. Yeah, thank you.
All right, there's no other questions. So we'll move on.
Mutiara.
Okay, so thank you very much for all the speakers. Again, this is Mutiara. I am Library Sales Executive for Vietnam, Indonesia, and Philippines from Sage Publications. I think first and foremost, I would like to say thank you very much to all attendees for your participation in today's session. I find today's sessions very insightful and fruitful as well, and I hope you'll find that too for your research project and also for your field of study. Now, the most exciting quiz is right here. I would like to invite you all to grab your phones or simply open your browser in your laptop or your personal computer. Now, I'm going to share my screen. And okay, once you already open your browser, please go to www.menti.com. and enter the code 83556784.
Mấy giờ ạ?
Can you see my screen?
17 giờ rồi chị.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a
Thôi rồi em
sound
sẽ cố
leak.
gắng ạ. Ok
Yes,
chị.
Lynn.
Vâng. Ok chị, vâng, chốt cho chị nhé. Dạ.
Okay,
Dạ.
we shall wait for her first. Okay, so again, please go to www.menti.com and enter the code 83556784. And welcome to Sage Campus mini quiz. The lucky winner will get 6 months. 6 months trial access of Sage Campus, right? So again, please go to www.menti.com and please do fill it with your full name and your institution as well, so we can acknowledge easier which 3 lucky winners. Okay, so let me. I cannot move it. Hold on. Okay, please do fill it with your full name and your institution. Are you ready, everyone? If you're ready, you can put down on the chat box, say something, yes or not. So then I can start. Not yet. Okay, sure. Again, please go to www.menti.com and use the code 38556784. So you are going to represent your institution. So please do your best. Good luck. Okay. Could you please give me, oh, sorry. Okay. We got hearts here. Thank you very much. Okay, are you ready? If ready, please do tell me on the chat box.
Yes, they say
Okay.
yes.
Oh, they say, thank you very much. Okay, now, okay, can you hear the music? Okay. Okay, now I'm waiting for the players. Wow, a lot of people's already here. Now I'm about to start the question. So, the first question, answer fast to get more points. What is Sage Campus? What is Sage Campus? First, research database or online course or ebooks. Again, what is Sage Campus? Research database, online course, or ebooks? 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Okay, a lot of people already answered correctly. Online course, correct, 25 people. And let's see the leaderboard. Well, I'm not sure who is Bill, but if you are Bill, you can screenshot your screen and tell me if you are Bill. Because I have to also, put your institution as well. Okay. So next, question 2, second question. Answer fast again to get more points. By the end of each courses, learner will get first, certification of completion from Sage. Second, email from library. Or giveaways. By the end of each course, learner will get 1. Certificate of completion from Sage, email from library, or giveaways. 2, 1, time's up. Wow, a lot of people answered correct. Certificate of completion from Sage is the correct answer. Now, moving on to the last question. Oh, leaderboard first. Okay. Okay. Now, the last question. Which one of the below is not part of Sage Campus course? First, gather your data online. Second, data science with SQL or article acceptance to promotion. Which one of the below is not part of Sage Campus course? Gather your data online, data science with SQL, or article acceptance to promotion. Correct answer is data science with SQL, because the answer is we are still providing the data science with R programming, not SQL. Okay, please be careful to answer this question. It's quite tricky. And let's see who's the 3 lucky winner. Wow, okay. Okay. The lucky winner is Ring Nguyen and Fong, and also I will screenshot this leaderboard, and please do screenshot it if you are the winner, and write down your into email to us to mutiara.hoiria@sagepub.co.uk, or also shirley.yap@sagepub.co.uk, as well as to Lin Nguyen at lin.nguyen@igroupnet.com. Okay, so thank you very much everyone for participating in today's session. I would like to hear on your opinion regarding what do you think about Sage Campus. After you hear a lot of explanations from Dr. Lim, we would love to see your opinions regarding Sage Campus. What do you think about it? You can type down. Excellent, thank you very much. Useful. Still waiting for another words coming. Okay, excellent, very good, thank you. Helpful, yes, I find that very helpful too, not only for undergraduate students, but also for faculty, right, for lecturers to assign the course for their students. Excellent, helpful, great, suitable for researcher, yes. Well done, thank you. Effective, yes, thank you very much. Okay, now as we are still waiting for the words coming, I would like to say thank you very much everyone for your participations. I will give it back to the host, to Anna.
Mutiara, later screenshot that.
Yes,
Thing, yeah.
I will.
Thank you, Mutiara. Such a inspiring and very interesting quiz session. So now I think we have no more questions. Then we will go to the close, because Mr. Prof. Long Phong Vinh has an urgent meeting, so he asked me to help sharing some closing statement. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your precious attention today. Published or perished is always big questions for all researchers in work life, but we believe that it becomes a little bit easier since you know more where to find what you need to improve your research quality and your chance to be published. We are very happy to share tips and tricks on making the publishing journey a smoother one for you today. We believe that with special sharing from Ms. Rosalia, Dr. Key, and Dr. Hilfat today, and support from Sage Campus and Sage Research Methods, we will see more and more publications from Vietnam in the coming time. Now we are in the start of the new year, a time to reflect on the year just passed and make plans for the future. It holds a special magic, with a promise of new opportunities and a possibility to change our lives for the better. We are here wishing you a happy Lunar New Year. May the coming year will be full of grand adventures and opportunities and more research published. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
everyone. Thank you, Dr. Pham.
Thank you, Dr. Hip Farm.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Lim.
Welcome. Thanks. Thanks,
Thanks,
Shirley.
Mutiara. Thank Lee.
Thanks, Kai.
Thank Lee.
Thank
Thank
Lee.
you.
Yeah. Thank Kai.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Sorry, we have a question that do we have a certificate of participant? Oh, for this workshop, sorry that we do not have a certificate yet. And we will send you some of the information you request by your email that you register. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna, for that. Yes, we do not have a certificate of participation.
If all, yeah.
Thank you.
If
Bye.
anyone want trial, can approach Lin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a questions for trial or products, so please reach us. I just put my email in the chat box.
Kai, will you send the feedback form?
I already sent out the recommendation form.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
you so much, Lynn. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.